Hello, welcome to today's $1 million topic is actually going to be $1 million trends on Millionaire Mentor today. So I'm super excited to be here. We are back in LA. I'm Alec. If you've ever seen me on opening these live calls, we are back from New York City, and it was a crazy time because we had a seminar out there. I see a lot of you guys are commenting in the comments here. A lot of you guys were in the Millionaire Mentor program, so it was cool seeing you guys in person. Nick Lambie even said, "Hi Tai, thank you so much for the brilliant event on Thursday in New York. There's great speakers and I got a lot of valuable content." So it was just really cool meeting you guys in person. It's one thing to be on the opposite side of the screen and really learning from you guys, from like our end or behind the camera, but from all the feedback that we've been getting and now speaking with you guys in person, you guys love this, so it's super interactive, and being at the seminar and in person learning from Tai was such a cool experience from everyone there. So super excited to be on here. And again, if you guys are just jumping on, there's a little bit of a delay. So in the comment section, put your name, where you guys are coming from, where you guys are watching from. I'll give you guys a little shout out as we are waiting for Tai to gear up. And we usually just go over the assignments like before all the live calls. So this is a super interactive part for you to just make everything instinctual and just learn from other people's experiments that we've been doing from last week. So let's see. Miguel said, "What's up?" Shin Ono said, "Hi Alec, nice to see you in LA." Nice to see you too. Nick Lambie said, "Hi Alec, good to see you again." Yes, it was super cool to meet you in person, Nick. That was awesome. Also, shout out to the guys who got into the Millionaire Roundtable, if you guys attended to the seminar, so we see you guys on the 12th. Let's see. Hello, Stephanie. Yeah, so if you guys are just jumping on, my name is Alec. I'm the product manager here with Tai, so I help manage a lot of our programs, help build this one out, making the best beneficial program for you, learning as you go and experimenting as you go. And today we're going to be going over the $1 million trends. So last week I did not open up the live call, but Tai went straight on, and he's just getting mic'd up and getting ready right now. So how this goes is that we just review some of the assignments from last week, and then we go from there. Tai's going to be ready in about 15 minutes. And go ahead and so last week's assignment, I'll just go over it real quick. So that way you guys could just see, or if you guys don't know what the assignment was, you're supposed to write out 3 branding words or phrases that you want yourself or your business to be associated with. And because last week was on $1 million marketing, so the first one was write out 3 branding words. Second one is to write 3 sentences on the underlying desire of your business, career, product, or service. And then the third one was to buy and read The Purple Cow by Seth Godin. So that book is a super game changer. It's a small, easy to read book, but it's just packed with golden nuggets. If you're familiar with Seth Godin, he has a lot of good books that definitely recommend, but Tai wanted you guys to read Purple Cow. So from those 3 points from your assignment, go ahead and put below your answers. And what we usually do is thumbs up whichever entry that you see that you like. You can thumbs up your own entry, and then I'll read the most thumbed up entry, and then we can go over it together. You guys can learn from each other. And on that note, make sure to get into the tribes, because now it's live for everyone. I know a lot of you guys would comment and be like, "Hey Alec, I'm trying to get into the tribe and I just can't get into it yet." But we made sure it's open for everyone. And if you see, there is a Let's Chat box on the bottom right here. It's blue. Just chat with our support team and be like, "Hey, I want to get into the tribe. How do I do it?" And they'll let you know. So let's see. Put your assignment below if you guys are just tuning in now. And I'm going to give you guys a little shout out if you guys get thumbs up on the assignment. So Joshua Ball said, "The underlying desire. My SMMA is focusing on churches. In the last week, I've called different churches to understand what their underlying desire was. From surveying several churches, the focus and underlying desire was not only to increase their attendance, but also being able to add spiritual value to their congregation." So that's cool. See, because now that you have the big picture goal for your client, you're moving towards a specific, you're going towards their specific big picture goal, and you're not just giving broad advice. Like you have a point A to point B, then you could use whichever Instagram marketing or Facebook ads, pixels, or whatever strategy you want to use to reach and meet their expectation. So that's good. That's what you're doing for your marketing. If you guys remember Tai's talk from last week, remember to just don't overwhelm yourself with too many details and pick that one golden nugget. Let's see. Greg said, number 1, simple trick, effective. 2 is to help people achieve their goals, increase confidence, and live life more fully. And 3 is not ready yet, but will. Cool. Yeah, definitely get on reading The Purple Cow. It's super good. Let's see. Sai Kitlo said for the purple cow. Number 3, I borrowed the purple cow, sell something people will buy instead of making something that people buy. Yeah? I think you kind of got the gist of that. Gregory R said, I read The Purple Cow by Godin. Synopsis, you have to buy a unique and stand out from the rest of the purple cows. Yep, it doesn't matter if they talk smack about you just as long as they're talking and the subject is you. Yes. Cool. It looks like you, for the most part, I'm reading over your guys' synopsis of Purple Cow and some of the golden nuggets you're getting. And you guys are getting it. It's not a super complex book that's hard to understand. It's very easily digestible and something you could apply today. So that's why Ty had to sign that book. If you guys are just jumping on now, Ty is getting mic'd up, getting ready, and we are going to be talking about $1 million trends. This is a super cool topic, especially if you heard Ty kind of talk about trend stacking and benefit stacking and front loading. $1 million trends is a super cool topic I like to hear Ty teach on. So get ready with your notepads and all that. Cool, I'm still seeing a lot of you guys that were in the New York City seminar, the Master Plan seminar. So shout out to everyone that attended. It was super fun if you guys got to meet Ty, myself, a lot of our team like Terry, RC, Willa, and all them in person. It's always cool, to see you guys in person and not just behind a screen. Let's see. 3 branding words. Cool, so what I'm doing right now, guys, is going through just your assignments that you guys submitted. And just put below your favorite assignment that you put out of the 4 or 5 days you were working on this. Put your favorite entry that you want to share with everyone in the program, and then thumbs up yours or whoever else's that you see that you want me to shout out so you guys could all learn from them too. Because the big thing is osmosis, law of 33%, being with people around you on your level, above you and below, and this is kind of that, just interactively too. So this is super cool part of the program. 3 branding words. Cool. Yeah, again, if you guys are just jumping on, there's a little bit of a delay. So give me a little shout out where you guys are coming from. We love to know where our members are coming from all over the world pretty much. We had Alfonso from Ecuador come to the LA event, the Master Plan seminar, and he came to the New York City seminar too, and he just said that he had the most golden nuggets, which is super cool, and that's fulfilling for our work, Let's see. Lene said the golden nugget she got was find who your sneezers and early adopters are first. Safe is risky, be different, and find your market niche first. Yeah. Definitely letting the front runner kind of make the mistakes first is one thing that Ty definitely recommends. Like if you see like Tom from MySpace, or even before that with Napster, it just kept getting involved in benefit stacking, and MySpace got big, but then of course Zuckerberg came and made it even bigger. So safe is risky for sure, is what you're saying. Assignment, leader, adventurer, trendsetter, cool. And that first part, guys, of the first question of the assignment is kind of big because it's like how you want to be known. It's putting your best foot forward pretty much on how you want your brand to be perceived, how you want your business to be perceived. So if you read a book called Perception by Francisca Ezeli, she's from Australia and she's from the leading marketing team out in Australia called Basic Bananas. And her whole book, Perception, is on that of how you want yourself to be perceived, and it doesn't always translate to how your customers perceive you. So being able to have that honed in is important, because you want to be linear, you want to be transparent too. So that is a good book to check out. Let's see. Refreshing my page. I want to see you guys' entries here that you guys are thumbs upping. That way, if you see a post that you've seen or you see some words that you want your brand to be like, then you can mimic and steal from them. Anthony McCardle said, hi, Alec from Glasgow in UK. Hey, what's up? Sean said, traveler, successful, and adventurer. Awesome. As you guys are looking below too, look for other people that have similar brand stories or keywords that you want to be perceived as well. And you guys could kind of collab. You could build your whole network and your partners here too. We have a lot of UK people out here. That's awesome. Luis Gomez from Sac State. What's up? I went to Sac State as well. That's fun. How are you doing, man? Haven't heard from you in a while. Let's see. Jitesh Punjabi, hey Alec, which books do you love the most? Rare books people might have not read. That's not, I wouldn't say I have a lot of favorite books, but if you guys have seen Ty's 150 book list on tailopez.com/books, a lot of those are what's in my library too. I amassed over like 250, maybe 300 books in the past year and a half. And I don't know, let me think of what's standing out to me right now. Well, depending on I'm more of a reader where like it depends on what project I'm working on with Ty or what I need to work on personally. Seth Godin's books, When It's Your Turn, or What to Do When It's Your Turn and It's Always Your Turn, is a super good book. It was given to me by one of my mentors. I thought that was really helpful. So if you guys like Seth Godin, if you vibed with the way his writing style was from Purple Cow, definitely check out What to Do When It's Your Turn and It's Always Your Turn. Super easy book to read. Maya, what kind of book would you recommend?
Hello, Alex.
Hi, Maya.
What kind of book?
Yeah. What's your favorite book right now?
I'm reading a couple of books right now.
Okay, Maya's reading a couple books right now.
I'm reading a dual biography of George Orwell and Winston Churchill.
Okay, George Orwell and Winston Churchill.
They were in the same time frame.
Yeah.
And then
Autobiography.
I'm also reading a book by David Agus, who came here to do the podcast.
Yes,
called
David
The End of
Agus.
Illness.
The End of Illness, if you guys want to get on your health game.
Yeah. And then I am about to start a book about Jay-Z.
Okay, Jay-Z book, what is it called? Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Nice.
I have my own food I just finished.
If you guys don't know who Maya is, it's Ty's cousin, helps run the company of Knowledge Society. Been working with Ty for over 8 years, so she's an OG in the game. Definitely listen to her book recommendations, they're awesome. We could just look at Maya's Twitter to look at her book list. Hello, this is Maya.
Oh, hi. Okay, I just read a book called, but I'm not mic'd,
she's-
right? I'll
she's
just no, I don't want to be, you can hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the book I just finished is called Rescued from ISIS.
Yes.
And it's about a father who went into Syria and rescued his son, who had become a jihad and then changed his mind.
Wow.
But he's a Belgian guy, super, it's kind of like Taken in real life.
Damn.
Super interesting. Yeah, right now I'm reading The End of Illness,
Yes.
which is an interesting.
David Agus.
He's a little edgy, but I'm into it. Oh,
Yes.
Kanye West. Did you read this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
Kanye
good.
West owes me $300 and other true stories. It is one of the funniest books I've ever read. It's by Jensen something. Wait, what's his name? He was almost a famous white rapper.
You can type in, yeah. Did you find it?
Jensen Karp.
Yes.
It was such a fast read. I read it in one day, and it was super, super funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
The first page, you'll be hooked to that book for sure.
I also I'm almost done with a book by Lizzie Velasquez. It's called Dare to Be Kind. She has a disorder, there's actually a video that she found, which is so horrible, but called the ugliest woman in the world or something like that. And she found it about herself, but she used it to sort of become a motivational speaker.
That's cool.
And she wrote a book kind of about why it's cool to be nice to people. So
Yeah.
it's a nice one. Oh yeah, the book that I'm reading is called Churchill and Orwell, The Fight for Freedom by Thomas E. Ricks. It's
Nice.
super, super interesting. Oh,
Oh.
definitely read it. So me and Alex saw Dunkirk, the
Yeah.
movie. I couldn't understand any of the dialogue at all. So Josh, I know, will be mad about that. Great movie. It was a super good movie, but I couldn't understand what happened. And so I read a book called The Miracle of Dunkirk. It's the true story of Operation Dynamo, which was the secret war name of it, and it's by Walter Lord, and it was fascinating. If you're into war or
history
or whatever, I strongly recommend that. Yeah, and I can go on. But
That was good. Thank you, Maya.
yeah, no problem.
Let's see.
Did you ask people to put their favorite books?
Yeah, you guys should put your favorite books too.
Okay, hang on, real fast. Zachary. Someone said, the prompt says leave Ty one clear, concise question that you love to have answered during the call. Zachary, you wrote, I am from Missouri?
Because I was asking where they're coming from.
Okay, I was
So
why are we doing that? Okay, if I refresh this. Sorry,
Yeah.
Zachary, I didn't mean to call you out. I'm just confused why that was.
Maya was reading when I was saying that memo,
I wasn't
so.
paying attention to Alex. Let's see. Oh.
Also, read Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull. Super good book.
That. I didn't read it yet.
One of the best books I've read. Josh, our studio director, loves that book. Right, Josh?
Wait, which one?
Creativity
Candle?
Inc.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the best movies.
Yes.
Books. And
So good.
Okay, Michael wrote, "Hi, Q, how to be, I don't know, is that
Money
a euro,
sign?
money sign, GBP, but why is the true question?" No, I don't understand your question.
It's hard to
That is
understand.
not a clear, concise question. Someone wants to know what Ty got out of reading Purple Cow.
Ooh.
Okay. James said he loved Purple Cow. Someone said hello, it's M-A-Y-A. It's fine.
It was a good try though,
Yeah,
Nick.
and Alec, A-L-E-C. That's
Yep.
fine. I'm just being whatever. Oh yeah, Jordan Belfort. I never
The Way
read
of the
that.
Wolf.
Did you read that?
Yes.
Okay, is it good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
It's really good.
You know, The Wolf of Wall Street, the actual book about it, is like super good.
Insane.
Like,
It's
super good.
way more vivid than the movie.
Joel wants to know if you should consider changing the name of a product in order to import to the U.S. market. Interesting question, especially with language stuff. It depends on what it is. Like, what is the name of it? Is it in Spanish or something? It might have a weird name. So that's possibly you might want to change it.
Yeah.
Jody Mark wrote, "Funky, earthy, true." I don't know what that means.
It's part of the assignment.
Okay.
Again, Maya wasn't really paying
Sorry.
attention to me. It's okay.
Any Harvey survivors from Houston? Yeah, is anyone from Houston? Shoot. Oh, the assignment was 3 words about yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Shout out from
SoCal.
Hi. Oh, and then you do a golden nugget.
Yeah.
Who is this person doing this repeatedly? Georgie? Writing Lopez? Don't do that. That's
Georgie,
annoying.
sorry, man. We don't want to
Don't
ban you,
spam
but
the comments,
don't spam
man.
the comments.
What up, Alec from East LA? Hello.
What's
Hi
up?
from Miami. How are
Hello.
you doing, Zuleika? Was
Oh,
Zuleika
Zuleika.
here?
Yes.
Right? She came to the seminar.
Yeah.
Hi, is Miami okay? Hopefully. Presense Amy Cuddy. Will Harvey. I don't know what those words mean, but that's fine.
Probably a book. Louise.
Psycho-cybernetics. I've never
That's a
heard of
good
that. Ooh, what's Creativity Inc. about?
So, big picture goal of the reason why I wanted to even get into Creativity Inc. was that part of Steve Jobs' 7 practical ways to be successful, number 3 was making connections. And what that meant for him was creativity and connecting different things. So Creativity Inc. is kind of like a how-to book, but also the history of Pixar at the same time from the founder, Ed Catmull, along with John Lasseter too. So
And
super
Alec,
cool book.
talk about how you're related to Pixar.
Yes. So before working here, Maya was actually the first connection that I ever spoken with Ty. When I
would
was
call it it was like more of a stalk.
okay, it was not a stock at all. Look at her face, she's lying. There's a clear lie.
Persistent.
I was persistent.
He was really persistent.
Step 65, persistent widow. I was reading,
He was
doing lots of 6,
knocking
7
on the
steps.
door. It was like a lot.
Okay, I was not knocking on doors.
No, he wasn't. And don't
okay,
do that, by
don't.
the way.
Please don't.
If you want to be persistent and you want somebody to mentor you, can I just make a strong recommendation? Do not show up at their house.
Nope.
Like, I know there's a lot of stories about how people were persistent and they just came to someone. Don't do that. It's creepy. If you want to send an email, if you want to tweet them, if you want to hit them up on every social media, whatever, don't show them in their house, please.
Don't. It's weird. Definitely really weird. Yeah. Pixar 7.8.
Yeah, so this is how Alex was related to Pixar.
Yes. So I was working at Pixar, and then they had, the Cars 3 movie was not out yet, and they needed someone to be on that team to help with the assistant directing job. So they offered it to me because I was doing cool little internships out there. But I realized that the workflow and everything there was not what I wanted. I wanted more freedom, I wanted to travel a little bit more, and I wanted to just have a little bit more impact. So being a small fish in a big pond, it's hard to have impact. So if you just kind of be persistent and you want to know like who helped you along the way, and Ty helped me get there, I wanted to help Knowledge Society and this team out. So here I am.
But Alec was deciding. You had to decide because they offered you a job.
Yes.
Because you had an internship at Pixar, and he wanted to come work for us, but he was also offered a job at Pixar, and so that's why you used actually urgency bias.
Authentically.
Whatever. But Alec was like, I have to decide by Monday if I'm going to come work for you or not. And I was like, okay, fine. And then we hired you.
That was the fastest turnaround. Yeah, very true. That was very
but
true.
I'm saying that was urgency bias to the max.
I did.
Because I was like, well, if we miss out on him because we let him get the job at Pixar, then that sucks. Like, also, I didn't know if you were a psychopath.
Oh my God.
So,
which I'm not. If you look at my dark triad scores, of all 10, 20,000 times that I took it, 0% psycho.
Yeah,
so.
because he knew how to gamify it afterwards.
No, not true.
Anyways,
Maya really just come in here so she could just
Just
sing
talk
on
to
me.
Alec.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So I shouldn't knock right now. No, Nicole,
No.
please don't do that.
Don't do it. Although we're having a conference in LA on October 6th,
Yeah.
so she definitely.
You should come to that.
Yeah,
and
come
you
to
don't have to
that.
knock, you just have a ticket.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see. You can ask to interview them, and that would be a soft offer to come to their house. Yeah, I mean, totally. Better is a phone call. Like, if you say, I'd like to interview you, can we set up a phone call? Sometimes people can make time for that. Better to ask, for sure. Like, I know there's the principle, I think it's like a Catholic one and something else, of forgiveness later versus permission first.
Yes.
When it comes to somebody's personal space, I really, really strongly recommend
Yeah,
permission first, not forgiveness later. It's just better.
for sure.
Pixar animation series is fun to do. You weren't doing were you doing
No,
animation?
I was doing public relations
Okay,
work,
so different.
campaigns. Yeah.
Ari says, will we be going to iconic LA tomorrow? I don't know what that is, so no, but what is that? I can Google it. Edward said, is Shopify a good platform to build revenue? Totally, if you have something that sells. Recommend any books on love relationships? Yes.
Attached.
Yeah, by Heller and Levine. It's called Attached. It's really good. There's also a book by Matthew, forgot his last
Lieberman?
name. Yeah, Matthew Lieberman called
Social.
That's really, it's kind of more about like friendship relationships, but it is about like humans.
Yes.
That one's really good. Evolutionary Psychology, the textbook by David Buss, is so good. I suggest that one. It does not read like a textbook. It's fascinating. Brad Wolf, you just started reading Life as Michael Jordan by Jordan Lazenby. Really good book. Like super interesting. Did you read that?
Isn't it Roland Lazenby?
Yeah, you're right. It is. Roland. Yeah. An interesting story. We were in Virginia at Joel Salatin's farm, and we were eating dinner, and I had that book on me for some, I don't know, I brought it because I thought I'd be bored with Joel Salatin, which is so weird. And I brought the book, and I took it out, and we were looking at it, and Joel said, I know that guy. And it turns out Joel and Roland had like written at a small town newspaper together in Virginia, like when they were like in college or something. So it was super interesting.
Yeah. And he came out with a book called Showboat on Kobe Bryant, which is a really good one too.
Which I don't think Kobe liked that much.
Oh, I'm sure not. It got very real. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very real in that book.
You're welcome for the book racks.
Hi, Maya. I like your
Try to
jacket.
update. Thank you. It's from Madewell. It's a store. It's online, I think, and in LA. It's like pretty well priced. Alec probably doesn't approve of it.
I recommended it.
Shoes
Yeah,
or something.
put the whole outfit together. You're welcome.
Um,
Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course, classic.
yeah. Okay, the books you're working on this week, Angela. 48 Laws of Power. Damn, that's a lot of books, my friend. 48
book
Laws
blitz.
of Power, Purple Cow, The Obstacles Away, I don't know, Curious.
Yeah, that was a good one with the owl on it.
Okay, I haven't read that.
Yeah, that one's really
Dollars and Sex
I
by
didn't finish
Marina
that.
Adshate. That one is very good on relationships. We're going to interview her for the podcast soon. I
You
think.
put curious twice.
Yeah,
Must
so
be
you're
very curious.
Good. Kontiki,
Really
great
good.
one.
Yes. If you're ever in
Selfish
Norway, you
Genius.
could go to the museum.
You
Kentucky.
can. My grandma went.
Yes, I was
missed
there.
it, though.
I was there.
You went with my grandma?
I did not go. Your grandma told me about it though.
Oh,
She said I
okay.
loved it.
Selfish Gene, I did not finish.
Very
but
good.
That was a great book. And I've
Dense.
never read Mastery.
Also the same author, Robert Greene, as 48 Laws of Power.
For Mastery?
Yeah.
Okay, and Selfish Gene's Richard Dawkins.
Yes. Also, the 50th Law of Power by Robert Greene, which is good. It's on
Like
50 Cent and Robert Greene, which
That's
is pretty
weird.
awesome. Yeah.
I wish I knew how to pronounce your name. Cheek says, hey Maya. It's M-A-Y-A, but whatever, it's fine. Okay, Alec Zavala.
Oh, nice.
Alec.
That's
with
how you
a
really,
K.
yep. That's
That's
how you,
like Russian or Eastern
Macedonian.
European, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite book, .com Secrets. That's
Russell
Russell
Brunson.
Purple Cow, and The One Thing is really super good.
yes.
Wow. Jacques from Essen, Germany, 1:20 a.m. Thanks for joining.
Nice.
Chad is from Houston, doing good. Oh, Warner is going to be at the conference.
Cool.
Awesome. Charlotte, North Carolina. Made in America, Sam Walton. Great one. I have not read any OSHA books. I probably should. It's almost like I stay away from woo-woo books, but like I think I know those are supposed to be good, so should probably read it. Have you read any?
Unscripted. Did not
It
read
says
that.
girl has no volume. Can you hear me, Josh?
Can you hear it? Should I get closer?
Hi, I'll just talk like this the whole time. Is that fine? Yes,
Ty.
Ty's coming on soon, Noah. Oh, Riveted's really
I
good.
don't think you have to do it every time. Yeah, Rivet is very good.
Real estate investing books. You know anything on real estate? I mean, Gary Keller is like a big dude in real estate. I feel like you might have a book on it.
Also, the book that you gave me from the $1 Million Listing guy, $1 Million Listing New York. That one was pretty good.
Frederick Eklund's
Yes.
book, but that is also
More
more
on
about how to be
sales.
successful at sales. But that's what real estate is.
Yeah.
So
there's some good.
It's called like winning the sale or making the sale or something.
Yeah.
Frederick Eklund, really, really good. You missed the past 2 live calls. What do you do? Well, you just sign up today to listen forever, right? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hey, Maya and Alec.
Okay, Tanner, you said you're wondering what you should do if you're scared to have a serious conversation with your parents about funding your informal education. Your mom told you that they give your sister $10,000 a year and are willing to do the same, but ever since that day, it's been very uncomfortable to bring it back up. Well, the good news is your mom brought it up first. So I would just so one thing that actually what Warren Buffett says to do is if you ever want to write an email to someone, whether it be angry, like a love letter, or just a concise one, write it all out and then don't send it. So I would pretend like you're going to write your mom an email, like about, hey mom, I know we discussed this, here's the things I'm thinking, blah, blah, blah. Don't send it, and then kind of just refine what you want to say to your mom, and then just say, hey mom, do you want to go get some coffee? Can we go to breakfast? I want to talk to you about a couple things. But don't freak her out by saying, can we talk?
Yeah.
Because that's my least favorite thing. When Alec does that to me, it's like so annoying.
It's probably one time that I've ever done that,
like,
ever.
Yeah, so that's what I suggest. Ari says, did Ty have Jake Paul on the podcast? No, but he came over one day and they filmed in the garage, but he has not been on the podcast.
Did you hear about Jake Paul's latest stunt?
Well, he's
by the
having
Grove?
like a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of stuff going on.
What's going on?
One thing is that he had lit his pool on fire in the Beverly Grove, which is pretty crazy. It made it on LA Times.
Okay.
So, yeah, something like that. It was a crazy story.
He filled his pool with gasoline and lit it on fire?
You would have to.
Yeah. Or like he threw lit on fire furniture into the pool. There was a lot of
It
craziness.
would immediately go out because of water.
Right. Unless you drain the pool. I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of negative stuff.
So they say no publicity is bad publicity.
Right.
I don't know if that reaches sort of like a point where it just becomes bad, but he obviously is getting a lot more press.
Oh, for sure.
I know he's doing it on purpose to an extent.
He is a smart strategist.
Yeah, and
for
he's
sure.
a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I actually never have read that. Did you read that?
Yes.
Oh my
Of
God.
course. Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss is also good. Definitely check that
I
out.
have not read that.
Of course.
Adam says, hey Maya, please tell the group if they were unable to buy the book online and they are not close to a bookstore, you can get an e-download from their closest library.
Yes.
You live in the middle of the desert this summer. That's cool. So do you have to go to the library though? Right?
That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Okay. But that's awesome. That's a great idea. Civilization by Will Durant. Yeah, it's actually by Will and his wife. Okay, there's 2 of them. Interesting. Man's Search for Meaning. Great.
Yep.
Wonderful
Classic.
book. Why hasn't Ty been on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast? This has been over Joe's best friend, Brendan. So actually, Brendan Shaw, we interviewed Brendan, and Joe tweeted Ty 2 years ago and asked him to come on the podcast, and then I messaged him and he never wrote me back. So Joe has asked Ty to be on it before, and we just haven't made it happen, but we should do that for sure.
Very cool.
Reading War Rules by Laszlo Bach. Is that his new book?
Oh, Work Rules.
Work Rules.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. No, I read that. I was like, is that a different one? What's a great book to learn on learning to build credit?
Oh, so I read Dave Ramsey's book, Total Money Makeover, which is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with everything in the book, but when it comes to building credit, I do agree with some of the strategies that he did.
So one thing I would recommend for stuff if you want to build credit, Google. There is a lot of free stuff out there. Also, Kelly Felix has a How to Build Your Credit product. I think it's like $30 or something like that. But there's a lot of free tips online, like what percentage to keep your debt to equity ratio at, how often to pay your credit card bills, how many credit cards you should have, why you shouldn't close credit cards, things like that. So there's a lot of info online if you want to do that.
And Tony Robbins' new book, Unshakable, has a lot of
He has a new book again?
Yeah, Maya's under a rock sometimes.
I haven't read that one. I'm sorry.
Love your shirt, Maya.
Thank you.
Oh, and you spelled your name right.
Thank you.
Nice, Steven.
It's ALC is the brand.
ALEC is my name.
ALC.
Yeah.
No. What do you call it when you have high fashion and low fashion together?
High-low.
High-low. So
Yes.
it's a high-low because Madewell I think is low and then ALC is high.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Men are from Venus, women are from Mars. Great. John Gray on relationships.
read that.
Ty did a phone call with him in New York.
Oh,
once,
that's cool.
I think, yeah. Yannick says it's common sense, respect privacy of people. Meant her to have privacy, but common sense isn't common. So what happens is humans have become so narcissistic that the person who wants to have the mentor can't imagine or fathom that someone else would want privacy from them. So they're just like, why wouldn't they want to meet me? I had a guy come here a couple weeks ago. I was here, maybe a month ago, who rang the doorbell and he said, hey, I forgot his name. And I said, hey, he's like, hey, I want to see if I could stop by and meet Ty. And I said, no, you can't, like he's busy. And he was like, well, that's weird. I was just at Larry Ellison's house and I didn't need a meeting or appointment time with him, which first of all, no, he was not at Larry Ellison's house. Like you can't just go to Larry Ellison's house. I'm sure he has massive security. And then this was the weirdest thing. I said, I'm really sorry. Like if you want to take my email down, you could email me and I could see if we could set something up in the future. So he then tells me that he does not have a tool to write my email down. So I could take his email. So I could email him and set it up. And I thought that was interesting. And I said, you don't have a phone on you? He's like, nope, I hitchhiked from Miami here with just my shorts and I don't have a phone. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. So I wrote his email down and then threw it away. So don't do that.
Oh, no.
So anyways, what I'm trying to say, Yannick, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, is that common sense, you would think it was common sense, but it is not. It's not common for a lot of humans.
Nope.
Any recommendation about Bitcoin and other altcoins? Ty will talk about that. I have absolutely no idea about that, but he is doing some stuff on it. So yeah.
Also, if you're in LA, Dan Fleischman has elevator nights where they talk about Bitcoin, which is cool too.
A lot. Anyone read 10X? Have you read the Grant Cardone book? I haven't read it yet.
Only some. He's very, if you guys read a book called Relentless by Tim Grover, his writing style reminds me of Grant Cardone.
Really?
Yeah, just like
Tim Grover does?
Yeah.
Oh, and Tim Grover's speaking at his event.
Oh, yeah,
and
that makes sense.
They asked Ty to speak at the event. I have to confirm the schedule. So.
Cool. If you guys are coming to Thrive too, which is
Ty's gonna be in Vegas. There's so many events. Thrive is this Saturday, or this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ty's speaking on Saturday, so you should get your tickets to that. Grant Cardone's conference is in February in Vegas, and then our conference is next Friday in Santa Monica. Hang on, Ty left me a voice memo.
Cool. Yeah. I had a phone call with Renee last week. I feel behind on shit. Yeah, no worries, Nick. Reach out to Renee. He could just catch you up to speed. Don't feel behind. The cool thing about these Millionaire Mentor live calls, if you don't get on live, you have the replay for 24 hours, and it's every week is a new topic. So this week is going to be on $1 million trends. Last week was on $1 million marketing. So if you guys are just jumping on, usually in the beginning of the calls, we just go over the last week's assignment. So let's see. We were going over some of the favorite books that you guys are reading and that we've read. Let's see, what's a good book on how the brain works? Oh, that's a good one. Algorithm of the Brain, I believe it's called. It's really good. I'm trying to think of what it depends because that's kind of vague. So like how the brain works is like you could go textbook style, or you could go Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt, or if you wanted to learn how like the sales of your brain works, you could read Pitch Anything by Oren Cloth, which is really great. And it kind of takes you the steps of like the balance of the brain to your neocortex. Really good books.
Oh, Edwin says you two seem close friend-wise. That's pretty cool. I hate Alex,
I don't really.
This
is all for camera. This is all shit. Yeah, she's not really that cool.
Nicole says, send the message to yourself, then you can read it again later and reflect on your growth. I think she was talking to Tanner about what to say to his mom. That's a good idea. Keith said, any plans on coming out to Phoenix? Not at the moment, but LA is really close, so you should come here. This is Alec. First of all, it's not Alex. He gets very grumpy if you misspell any part of his name, by the way. So
Don't
just,
get
don't mess it up.
She makes these things up. I don't know how
Okay,
it
so
comes
let
off
me
the
give
top.
you a quick tip, Fabio. Questions that you wouldn't ask somebody normally, like up front, are what is your net worth and how much money do you make? So one thing is that sort of the salary and money question has become a little bit taboo, but it's also like a little bit rude to just straight up ask somebody how much money they make. So you could ask it in a different way. Maybe you could say, you know, what was your goal as a kid to be on track for? Like, do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to be a billionaire? Do you not care about money? Just different question. People ask me that sometimes, or will ask Tai, what's your net worth? Like, that's a weird question to ask a human, so don't do that.
And you want to go to like the why, like what Maya is saying too, because the number is not the goal. It's never really the goal is for that. It's the fulfillment off of what you're doing and what value you're actually adding to. So
yeah, or what so, you know, Elon Musk says you solve a problem, or you get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problem which you solve.
Yes.
So if Alec was like, I make $5 million a year, wouldn't you want to know what he was doing? Like, you could just ask, hey, Alec, what is your net worth? And you were just like, 5 mil. And then you left.
Yeah.
Like, you would get nothing out of that. Except like, oh, he's rich.
Right.
Let's see. Born Rich from Bob Proctor. I've never read that, but heard he's cool.
Seth Godin, small is big. Didn't read that. Alec, Maya, what are the
what are the 3 ingredients to a successful life? Oh, one of them is definitely the people that you surround yourself with.
Yes.
For sure. Because
100%.
osmosis and also humans can be really shitty. So if you're around those people, you will trend shittier. And if you're around better people, you'll up.
Very true.
So I think
Did you ever have to cut off people out of your life?
I have in a vague way. Like, it's not like I was like, oh, I'm not friends with you anymore, but I have definitely had a few friends that just, we kind of drifted apart because we had different sort of goals and vibes. But I've been pretty lucky in the fact that I've had some friends for a really long time. Like, one of my closest friends is my best friend from kindergarten.
Wow. Liz?
And then, no, Casey.
Okay.
Liz is married to one of my best friends since I was 12. So I have like a good high school group, college group, and then kindergarten.
Yeah.
So I was pretty lucky.
Cool. I just don't know.
Oh my God, I know people want to watch we got to figure out how people can watch the first call.
Yeah.
You know, one of the main reasons why we try to not make the calls available later is because then people just go, oh, I'll watch it later, and then they don't participate, right? So it's definitely better to do that. Neil says, what time is the event next Friday? Cool, you're going to come. You have to book your flight from Cleveland and see if you have to book a hotel. It starts at, or the pre-session starts at 9. The main session starts at 11, and it'll be over pretty late, because I don't know if you guys know, I've noticed Tai talks a lot. So I would say plan to stay over and then leave Saturday. Cleveland, you just got Dwayne Wade. That's cool. That'll be fun to watch next year.
That's all Maya knows about NBA. So.
No, I don't. I know that the Cavs have LeBron, Isaiah, who, by the way, is injured, so definitely going to help, Dwayne Wade, and then J.R. Smith and, like, Kevin Love and a bunch of other people.
Impressive. Very impressive.
I know basketball. God. Are we coming to Chicago? No current plans for that. Luis and Joseph. But come to L.A. It's, like, so close.
Yeah.
Maya can teach millionaire etiquette.
That actually, she would kill that for sure. I think so.
It's like how to not be a dumbass, I think, is what it would be.
She should have a blog, I think.
It's so hard. Tai might be visiting North Carolina, probably not in the near future, but you should come to LA. What supplements does Tai take with his food? I don't know. Do you know? James can't open the video on the site. He has to watch through YouTube. Okay. Call went down. Is that true, Josh? Did it go down?
Josh?
Hello. Josh, did the call go down? Some people are saying they can't hear or see. You don't know because you left.
Yeah, for a second. Yeah, looks good on my end.
Okay.
Just not to be a dumbass.
Sorry, my language. Are we coming to Sydney, Australia? Might be next March. Stand by for that, but that's the plan.
Nice.
Is this the second lesson or the third, Alex?
It's actually the 7th that we're
but
on
then
now.
people who just joined, right?
Yeah, the full,
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay, someone said the book recommendations are excellent, but is there a possible process to determine where you invest your time wisely towards your reading? I ask since life can be hectic and we might not all have the time to get such vast amounts of information material. Great question, Anthony. So just in case you're wondering, I do not read for 8 hours a day. I typically will read for 20 to 30 minutes in the morning and 20 to 30 minutes before I go to bed. That's kind of it. I try to rotate my books so I can get different books in, but I don't read all day. I read before I go to sleep because it helps me go to sleep, and I try to read in the morning to start my day off right. How much do you read, Alec?
Mine is like 15 to 20 minutes on 3 times a day.
Okay.
So, and it's always a different book. So like, I would, if you guys watch the Smart Reading series that we have it as a bonus of Tai's.
Yeah.
It's like, I read with intention. So I'm not, Maya's really good at reading cover to cover. Mine is like, I have a specific project or job that I'm working on, and I just need a golden nugget to help accelerate me towards that goal. So I would look at the table of contents, find exactly what I need, and kind of implement it. So I'm looking for a golden nugget that I can implement, not just the pleasure of reading, which is also cool too if I'm like chilling.
Oh, I just love the pleasure of reading. You know?
Maya.
Ty will be here in 10 minutes, by the way, if you're bored of us, because I'm sure you are. What about coming to Texas? Not current plans, but maybe. Come to LA. Do you both read a book a day? I mean, I do not finish a book every day, for sure. But I try to read a significant portion of a book every day.
You did finish the Kanye West book in a day.
It was so funny.
It's really good.
So funny. Release the calls a month after the program. I don't know what that means, Lionel, because you started in the middle of your sentence, so I'm not sure what that means. But maybe you could add the rest of the sentence, and then we could find out. That would help. Vincent said, hey, Maya, do you guys ever go to North Carolina? Well, Ty grew up there, but we have not been there recently, no. What was Ty like when you were kids? You know, I actually didn't spend a lot of time with Ty when we were growing up. He was on the East Coast, and I actually never went to Virginia, so I kind of only saw him at holidays. There's a picture I posted on my Instagram of him holding me as a baby. I'm sure he was like about to drop me, but yeah, I didn't know him as well when we were growing up. Since Ty's going to be late, does this mean the call will end later? Probably, but it generally goes about 1 to 2 hours, right?
For Ty, yeah.
So yeah, come to Austin, Texas. I love Austin, actually. How long does it take for you to get in a full habit of reading? Oh, maybe like 66 days?
67? One for good luck.
A month?
Yeah, and also Tyler, if you're not an avid reader right now, start off with something small. It's like Ty's used the metaphor of like lifting weights. If you want to bench 500 pounds, you don't start off with 500.
Start with 1 pound, like my grandma.
1 pound.
Yeah.
So managing oneself. Very good read by Peter Drucker.
And so short.
Very short, and you want to have little wins. Yes. So if you finish that book, you're like, that's easy. I could read a 100-page book.
Well, and also, one thing I will recommend, Tyler, it sounds like maybe you might not like to read. Try to figure out something you're super interested in learning about. Try to figure out your learning style. Maybe you would prefer to do audiobooks.
Yes.
Or video. Like those are totally fine. Because what I found, and Ty actually taught me this, was I would read a book and I would finish the whole book because I would feel like, oh, I started this. It's commitment, consistency. I better finish it. And that is so stupid because I would read books. This was the first book that I was reading. I was like, oh, this is so annoying. It was Keith Richards' autobiography from the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
And I wanted to love it, and I could not get through it. And I made myself finish it. And then at the end, I felt like, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah.
So if you pick up a book and you don't like it within like the first 10 pages or first chapter, get a new book. So for you, Tyler, try it. I would say definitely choose stuff you're super interested in, and try different formats of reading.
Right.
Like, do you do Audible?
Not as much. I'm more of a visceral reader.
Like a real paper hardback
yes.
book. No Kindles.
No Kindles. I can read on Kindles. I just prefer not to.
Yeah, me too. I know. Yeah. And Ty sometimes will use iBooks, and I'm like, how do I read it?
I'm
too old for that, I think.
Can't. Also, find out what your 4 M's are of motivation. So that way you could use your motivation to read. You could reward yourself. Because the #1 cognitive bias is reward and pain. So you don't want reading to be painful. No. You want to reward yourself for what you're reading too.
For sure. The way the homework is set up is at 1 assignment a day. There are 7 assignments online. Yes, because there has been 7 calls so far. So Anthony, it sounds like you're just joining us. So I think, Alec, we got to figure out a way to make sure that people who are just joining us get access to the beginning ones.
Yes.
Even though it's not like you miss the calls and therefore you won't catch up, because Ty does do them very breakout, but we should just figure that out.
So don't worry, guys, if you guys just jumping onto these calls, I see a couple of you guys just, oh, you missed the last 2, you feel like you're behind. Don't feel like that. It's not a series like an HBO series where if you didn't watch the first 3 episodes, the 4th one doesn't make sense. All of these you could just jump in and it'll make sense right away.
No, I didn't listen yet. I will. So this is Alec, not Eric, okay, Brian, and I don't know what your question is about spies. What do you mean? Like, do we have spies that come to the office? Like, are you talking about like a military spy or like what? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you know? I'm not sure.
Well, we were talking about people, like weird people who show up, so maybe.
I'm not sure I would refer to that person as a spy. I would call them a creeper.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably no.
Can you please help me with supplements for activating all my cognitive functions for brains and make my brains more productive? You have 2 brains, though? Nice, Jitesh.
I think you're talking about the old brain, the reptilian brain, and the new brain.
We have our Neuro 67,
yes.
right? Go to neuro67.com. Check it out. Herman, Dr. Fresco, has sort of programmed that. It's supposed to be really good. And
I definitely experimented with a lot of different nootropics. Not a lot of different nootropics, but 3 main ones, top competitors of Neuro 67. And Neuro 67 really helped, for what I was working on. I also had Alpha Brain before by On It, which is also good.
Brad Wolf says, how do I connect with other people in my town who are in this program? Can you see in the tribes?
Yeah.
Okay,
so Brad?
Everyone should be here in the tribes program, right? Okay. Maybe repeat that just so everyone hears.
Yeah, so if
you can hear me.
You can't hear you.
Yeah.
So just listen to me.
Can you guys hear me?
So to join the tribes, there's a blue box on your bottom right-hand side of the screen that says Let's Chat. And it's our live chat support team. You can ask them how to get into the tribe. It's very simple. There's also a welcome video by our lovely Brittany on our support team who can help you get into it. So very easy to join, Brian.
Armin Way. I saw that the last mastermind group at Ty's house in Beverly Hills had only 15 people or so. Nope. There was 105 people here for the seminar. We do have what's called it's the round table, right? The Millionaire round table. That only has 12 people because that's how many chairs are in our strategy boardroom over there. But the last seminar that we had 105 people. I don't know where you saw
15.
Oh, you got a text.
I did.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and turn this that way.
10 minutes. It was 15 minutes, 45 minutes ago. Ty needs a watch. Well, Ty's a busy dude, so James, if you can't wait for him, I'm sorry, and you can totally check out and not watch us, and we'll send you a text when Ty's live. I know me and Alec are really boring, so I'm sorry. What's the best airport to fly into? Do we not have an email going out to people about the conference about this?
We do. Nathan, if you're listening to this.
Let's make a note. Maybe make a note of that. But the best airport, the closest airports, I'm so sorry I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you asked what the best airport to fly into for the conference. LAX and Burbank.
Yes.
LAX is closer to Santa Monica, so I would suggest LAX, but Burbank is fine too. $1,000 to listen to you guys read comments. Really? Malik, I'm so sorry this is not beneficial to you and that you can't wait for Ty to join the call. If you are not having a good experience, you can totally check out of the call, and that is fine. If you have constructive criticism, like you'd prefer for us to not answer people's questions, you're welcome to email me. My email is maya@knowledgesociety.com. I would recommend being a little less salty in a comment if you have an issue with it. We want to make this a good experience for everyone. Obviously, some people are having a good experience and you are not, and I'm sorry for that, but I would maybe frame your question a teeny bit differently because it was a little bit rude, and I'm sorry you're having a bad experience.
But also, Malik, too, remember that when you want to be a gold digger with this, right? People that work very closely with Ty, the mentor that's on there. Just saying. Yeah. Oh, like this person.
There he is.
Malik, that was just perfect timing for you to comment.
Is he taking your
Yeah.
So what did I miss?
Oh, just lots of stuff.
A lot.
Yeah.
Come here, favorite
and
books.
Everyone's calling you Alex, so you're not.
They're calling you Ty or me Alex?
No, they're calling him Alex.
Shit.
Alex.
Oh.
Someone said, why is that person so salty? Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
someone in a bad mood.
No, someone just said, really, $1,000 to listen to you guys read comments. And I just said, if you have constructive criticism, we totally welcome it. Here's my email, and maybe try not to be so salty on your first comment. And so.
You know, a good mentoring tip? Let me tell you guys one of the greatest mentoring tips in life. Never be annoyed when things aren't on time. Just take your phone. This is what I do. Let me show you guys something. This is a little bonus content. Because people are stupid in the modern world. And they literally get butt hurt when they're in traffic. I'm like, how are you going to get butt hurt for the rest of your life if you have to commute? If you got to commute, why don't you turn the situation into something productive? So here's what I do. You want to zoom in on this? This is how I have my app set up here. Let's see if we'll zoom it.
Looks great, Josh.
Okay, so you go to iBooks. This is my iBooks here. And you can just see. There you go. So I got about 100 books right there. So every time I have downtime, I get excited because it's forced time to read. So let's say a situation. The reason, by the way, I came a little later is because the last 2 weeks we didn't go over the homework at all. We usually do about 20 minutes of homework, but we didn't do it last 2 weeks, so I wanted to do it a little longer this time because it's an important part. Even though it's not the most fun part, it is important because then people are held accountable. If there's no accountability, people don't actually get stuff done. But what I was saying, as we learned from whatever person was grumpy about time, I've been doing these talks for like 2 hours when I only promised 1 hour. So I'm already way hours ahead of the value that I've given over and above I promised. And I don't mind doing that, but never get hurt. I'm telling you, you're going to be in a doctor's office and they're going to be an hour late. You're going to be on an airplane and there's going to be a part missing. You just got a choice. Are you going to be part of the idiotic society that has a heart attack? You should basically only flip out about a few things. So, which brings me to another side note. Neuroticism. Let me tell you what neuroticism is, because you have to learn. We had one of the past lessons, for those who are new, was about reading people. Where is that comment? Let me read. Where's the person's comment?
Oh, Malik is his name? In front left.
All right, let me find this person. Malik.
M-A-L-I-K.
He probably, can you find him? Yeah. So basically Malik, or whoever this person was, if you're reading people, what I would say is this person in this instance, I don't want to judge them forever because I'm not there in person, but they're low in agreeableness and they're low in the Hexaco score, low in agreeableness, and I would almost guarantee you high in narcissism and low in and high in emotionality. So we'll talk about, by the way, $1 Million trends, this is one of the trends that I'm starting in the world, which is basically a hyper attention to reading people. It's the most important thing. You could basically skip high school and just learn this and you'd be better off. So one of the trends here is the emerging field of psychology. They call it psychometrics. So there's a few different tests. There's the Hexaco score, okay? There's the dark triad score. There's also, well, let's just focus on these two. So this letter right here stands for emotionality, which is basically comprised of 4 things underneath it. So fearfulness, dependence, sentimentality, and also anxiety. And then this letter here, agreeableness, this is the number 2 and this is the number 4. Agreeableness, okay, Number one, you have here forgiveness. You have patience. You have gentleness. Forgiveness, agreeableness is forgiveness, and flexibility. So notice what we can tell, most likely, sometimes it's wrong. Whoever commented on that, I'll just tell you, most likely they're low on forgiveness, they're low on patience, they're low on gentleness because how they said it, and they're low on flexibility. Horrible score on agreeableness. So the next time you see people that are getting butthurt over something, you now know more than 99% of the planet. 90% of the planet. See, people don't understand. Part of what this program is to open your eyes. This isn't a college classroom. I'm not a college professor. This is stuff ain't even taught at Harvard. You'd owe me $100,000 if I was teaching you this for 4 years, you know? So what I tell Maya and what I told, now let's talk about this. Usually there's another test called the Big Five, neuroticism, okay? And these go hand in hand. People who are neurotic are usually also low in agreeableness. So here's what neuroticism means. Large reactions to small events. And some of it's genetic. I was talking to Dr. David Buss for an hour yesterday on the phone. I was at the Amish, I was driving to the airport, and I had an hour to kill. I just picked up the phone, didn't worry about the commute. I got stuff done. I've learned, like now I'm hoping that airplanes are late. I'm hoping I get stuck in traffic. I'm the opposite of the world because it's not logical to be that way. For a person who's watching this program, you guys should be watching the whole process of this program. You shouldn't just be watching the lessons. I know how to make money. Do you know how to make as much money as me? No. Then watch the whole damn thing and shut your mouth on some of you. That's my advice to you. Really. I'm saying that out of, I won't say out of love because we don't love each other, but I am saying it from the right place. Some of you need to shut your mouth. You got too many opinions. Your brain is so full of opinions, you got no room to learn. No room to learn. When you can make $1 million in a day, then start critiquing the whole program. I know how to do that. So, if there's longer comments than you thought, work on your agreeableness. Low agreeableness, let me tell you what happens with low agreeableness. Badasses won't want to ever work with you. You'll be stuck working with your business partners will be the rejects because the real badasses don't want to be around somebody who's low agreeableness. They leave. You think I want to be a business partner with somebody? I actually will advise you this. Never look your best on your first date. You know? Be 1 minute late to your first most important business meeting with a potential business partner. If they have a heart attack that you're 1 minute late, you learned how to read them. They're idiots. Why would anybody care? And I know people are super big on punctuality, and it is important in general to be punctual. That's why we started this precisely at 4 o'clock. It's not late. And I talk here for longer than I promised. So there's a lot for some of you to learn. Some of you already know this, but I hope you're watching how I do this so that you know how to apply it to other people. And we live in a society where people are butthurt by everything. They're weak-willed. You know, self-made millionaires, I know a lot of them, even billionaires, they're thick-skinned. They're tough. Really. When Mark Cuban was over here, he was here forever. You know what he did? We played basketball, then he had his laptop. He's like, dude, I need some time. He went off on my living room, sat there for 2 hours, did his laptop, then we talked more. You think I was cared? You think he cared? We're both busy. Nothing can affect us like that. An airplane missing a part and you have to fly a day later or you have to fly an hour later, that's an hour more of books. I just read on the flight back here from Virginia, I read 2 books. I read a book on unconventional thinking. I posted them on my Snapchat, by the way, if you want to see some of the book titles and the notes. And I also read a book, a fiction book, which I don't do very often, you know. Muhammad said, Tai, you speak the truth. That's why I like you very much. Carolee said, you're right, Tai. Jacob said, yes, speak the truth. I love the candidness. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Malik. I'm using this as the lesson. That's why I do these live. You're learning. This isn't a pre-recorded thing. You're learning like right here, like you're in the living room. And what you're learning is learn to read people. Huge trend. Any questions on this? When I first started on YouTube, I was thinking, God, someone from the elite class is coming in video form to help me. I was grateful. No one is doing this. No one. Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins. Thank you, Tai. Michelle, what if you're agreeable with people who do not have your back? Michelle has a good question. Okay, here's what agreeable. Agreeableness does not mean you're a pushover. Because what you do is you don't put yourself in situations where you're with bad people. So everybody you're with should, an ideal situation, it's not always ideal, you should be able to be agreeable with. So if you find yourself in an instance where you're having to be rough with people, okay, you got to change situations. And that's pretty much the most important thing in life, is changing situations when it's horrible. Monica said, I'm actually stuck in the San Francisco traffic every Tuesday, and I don't mind it because I just get to listen to the call. Exactly. That's the way to think through life. And it will affect you in every area of life if you don't get control of your emotions. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep talking. Adam said, damn, Big Daddy Tai laying the smack down. I'm making $10,000 a month, so I'm still listening. Again, I'm not, if you guys could go inside my head, if I met this person in person, I wouldn't hate him or something. I'm not mad. I'm not really mad. I'm just reminded of the world where people much too often put a high value to their own uninformed opinion. So I think everybody's opinion should be valued when it's informed, but why should we have to value uninformed opinions? I mean, Adolf Hitler had an opinion. Do I have to honor his opinion? I don't. You can, but I don't. You know, people with stupid opinions, I think uninformed. It's okay to be different, but it has to be informed. Okay, let's talk about, oh, and a little thing, by the way, if you're hiring people, those of you who want to be entrepreneurs, what I just did is a great thing to do. Shake up the schedule. So let's say you hire an assistant, because a lot of times the first person you should hire to build a business is an assistant that extends and leverages the most important part of your business. At the beginning is always you, okay? Over time, the business becomes bigger than you, but at the beginning, it's almost always you. So by having an assistant at the beginning, you basically, it's not as good as cloning yourself, but it's better than nothing. So when you hire an assistant, inevitably you're gonna have to hire about 5 to find one. Sometimes you'll have to hire 10 to find one. And so what I do is I go, how can I quickly find out the truth? Because on average, there's a good book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. There's other books on this subject. It takes about 1 year to really know somebody, okay? Now, the book Blink talks about how you can use your intuition and read people up front, and I believe in that too. But this is still true. To really, like if you date somebody, you know, you should probably date them for a year before you marry them, at the minimum, okay? And 50 years ago, people used to get married quickly, and that worked out sometime. But in general, 1 year to really know somebody. So you don't want to test a new assistant for 1 year, right? You don't want to pay somebody for a year. So what you have to do is you have to add pressure to the situation. So by adding pressure, the truth comes to the surface. So Navy SEALs, you know what they do with Navy SEALs? When they're in training, they make the first week Hell Week, or the first, it might be more than a week. I think it's a week. Hell Week, Navy SEALs. They exert maximum pressure so that they don't have to wait 1 year to know somebody. So what you want to be with new situations, like a business partner, like a dating situation, like an assistant you're hiring, you can't just make the first week easy. And that's a big mistake. Every time I do that with employment, it's just prolonging firing the person. You want, for the sake of yourself and other people, you want to hire and fire quickly. Can I have the 2 drinks? You want to hire and fire quickly. So you need to exert pressure. So if you have an assistant, the first day, make it one of the tougher days they're going to be there. No, it's okay. Make it one of their tougher days. Why? Because you add the pressure, like the Navy SEALs. You don't have to wait 1 year. And then if they're not good, let them go on Friday. Most people you should hire, by the way, write this down. Most people you hire should be fired within 5 days. Almost everybody. Because 80% of people you hire are not good. In my opinion, 80% of people should be let go. You don't have to do it mean in the first week, okay? Especially, now if you're hiring super advanced people, like you're hiring the former chief engineer for Google or something, that's a little different. But I'm talking about when you hire assistants, almost all people are assistants. They're not good. So you should, 80% of if you interview 10 people, and I always recommend you do a test 1 or 2 weeks. At my company, we do, because of the 67 steps, we do a test 67 days that we don't officially hire them with full benefits. Now, we do give everybody good benefits, but we don't do it for the first 67 days. That gives us the time to exert pressure on them and see who we should let go in the first week, the first 2 weeks, the first month, and within the first 67 daes. So remember that I'm giving you permission to follow my formula if you want to, or you can come up with your own. Doesn't have to be 67 days. But you should have 1 week's tests. And then if they pass the 1 week, they go 1 month. And then if they pass 1 month, 2 months. Within about 2 months, if you add enough pressure, you can recreate almost a whole year of knowing them. So you don't want to wait a year. No one should last a year and be fired. For the most part, the people who get through my first 2 to 3 months at my company, they stay for a long time, okay? All right, let's talk about trends. See if there's any other things here. Jeff Harris, coaches on teams have tryouts, try to run them to death on the first day. Yeah, Navy SEAL. How do you approach a business to be able to market to them and do business? Boom. Okay, let's do this. Timothy said his first day on the job was Cinco de Mayo. Let's talk about some trends. Now, we've been talking about this in the past lessons. Trends are so important that it's really much, in this Millionaire program, if you want to be mentored by different self-made millionaires, if you ask them what's been a key component in their life, it's been catching trends. Now, they might say it differently. They might not always say trends. If you talk to someone who's more conservative, like the investor Warren Buffett, the second richest man in the world, he wouldn't say he catches trends. But if you read between the lines, he does. Because what does he do? He waits until the stock of a company is low, and he buys it at the right time. He buys low, and then he sells high or keeps it till it's high. Coca-Cola, he bought it low. He bought See's Candy for when it was low. The owners wanted to leave. That's a trend to me. So I want to define what a trend is so that you're not using the wrong. There's different definitions of trends. So we're all on the same page. Here's the definition of a trend. Okay? It's simple. Mastering timing. And you can always remember this because they both start with a T. Trend and timing. So one of my goals for you guys as you go through this program is that you get better at timing things. Now, part of mastering is knowing some things can't be timed. Like you can't predict. Sometimes people make mistakes in the stock market or real estate because they go, oh, this is the time to buy. It's low now, but it turns out that it's high. So just you have to know that some things can't be timed, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't think about timing. For each of you here, let's go back in time over the last 5 or 10 years. Have you mistimed something? Have you mistimed? I'll give you an example where I mistimed something. Years ago, it's probably 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5. A girl that I knew, just like an actress, model girl here in LA, said, Tai, do you want to own a small percentage of an NBA basketball team? Okay, professional basketball team. I won't say which team it was. It wasn't the Los Angeles Lakers, but it was a team that's big in one of the big cities that has championship rings and has superstars playing there and played there at this time. And I was busy, and she was like texting me, and I didn't take her seriously. I thought, I don't know. I mean, people always text me with crazy stuff. So it's like I basically ignored her. Then after like a week or two, I realized that she was persistent. I was like, well, maybe I should look more into it. So I said, send me some more stuff. So a week went by. She sent me on a Friday the full audited finances, the accounting of a major professional basketball team. And all of a sudden I go, uh-oh, this is real. There's no way this girl could have had this if it wasn't a real deal, or there's very low likelihood it was fake. It was like, you know, KPMG, one of the top accounting firms, had audited it. It had their revenue, it had their expenses. It was probably, you know, 100 pages. And so I called them on Monday and I was like, I'm interested. And the girl said, somebody already took it this weekend. You're too late. So that was a very painful thing. If I had been listening at the beginning and at least entertained the idea, I would have been able to talk to them 2 weeks ahead of time when it was still open. And let me tell you, at that time, that basketball team was $600 million team, $600 million. And then Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers and raised the price. It basically raised the value of all pro basketball. That team right now is worth about $2 billion at least. The Houston Rockets just sold for $2 billion. That wasn't the team, by the way. But $2 billion, that means not only would I have owned, it was a very small percentage, just a few percentage points of a team at $600 million, but it would have gone up 3 times or more. So my investment would have tripled, and I would have owned a professional basketball team. I wouldn't own the full thing. I'd be a small minority partner, but I have a business card that had the team name and said owner on it, which means I could have flown on the jet with the team. I would have gotten championship rings. They had championship rings. They give you a ring if you're the owner. So sadly, I mistimed it. And when I was just starting out and didn't have much money, I mistimed things. For example, if all of us could get a time machine and go back to 1999, it wasn't that hard to build Amazon at the beginning. Jeff Bezos, it was just selling books. Any of us could have done it, but we didn't catch the timing. 2004, MySpace really started to get big. My friend Tom, in fact, for those of you who came to my in-person seminar, he FaceTimed in for a minute to say hello. But Tom caught a trend of social networks. He built something called MySpace here in Los Angeles, sold it for $500 million. I missed that timing. Mark Zuckerberg came. Facebook. We all missed that timing. Netflix. Who here could have come up with the Netflix idea? Simplest idea ever. Did you know that I saw a company just launched the other day where it's the Netflix of movie theaters. You pay $20 a month or something and you get access to you can go to theaters and watch as many movies as you want for $20. And they already signed up like 200,000 people or some crazy number. I didn't look exactly. We missed that trend right here. We didn't master the timing of that. Bitcoin, if you had bought Bitcoin or Ethereum, several years ago. In fact, I believe with Bitcoin, if you had bought $100 worth of Bitcoin, it's worth $70 million today. Not bad. It's either 100 or 1,000 bucks. Maya, we missed that trend. And that was, if you would have had 100 bucks, I think it's in whatever. Look up the timing of that. Is it 2013 or something? By the way.
Billionaires lost 16 billion today. It's not in the network. Mark Zuckerberg lost $1 billion, and Alibaba guy lost $1 billion.
Yeah, but that's just on paper. So, we're missing the timing here. So I want to talk about, first of all, I need to bring you awareness, because whenever I have this talk, people kind of go, well, everything happens for a reason. And they make it, they don't have any pain. They don't experience the pain. But you need to experience the pain, because I need to experience the pain so that next time somebody presents an idea to me, I'm much more open-minded. So here's the first rule of mastering timing so you can catch trends. Yeah, $100 in what year? 2010. $100 in 2010 in Bitcoin today is worth 70 million. 75 million. So for all of you, I mean, now that's, Bitcoin might go down now, but that's a fact. Nobody can argue that. $100 in Bitcoin, 2010, you would have $75 million today. You'd be, that means, just to be clear, if your goal is only to have 10 million bucks, right? You only needed to invest about $5. Did we miss that trend? Did you have $5 in your bank account in 2010? If you did, you missed a big freaking, I missed the trend too. I wasn't in it in 2010, you know? So I want you to know everything you read about hard work, everything, you know, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's true. You do need hard work, but people who would put 100 bucks in Bitcoin in 2010, they didn't need hard work. You could have literally put 100 bucks and then gone and locked yourself up in a room or gone to a desert island for the last 7 years and come back today, go to your bank, well, you have to go to the online, you go basically to your wallet. You have an online virtual wallet, and you liquidate your Bitcoin. And then you wire it to your Bank of America, your Chase, your HSBC, and you would have had roughly 75 with 6 zeros after it. That would be pretty crazy. Right? 9 zeros, sorry. Oh no, I was right. 8 figures. Sorry, long day. 9 figures is when you have 75 billion. They call it the 3 comma club. This is 2 commas. When you start getting into 3 commas, you're doing really well. You're doing pretty well when you get into 2 commas too. Okay, so that's all great, but that's past, it's too late. First thing, massive flexibility mentally, okay? I want you, that says mentally. I really need to work on my handwriting. Massive flexibility mentally. Here's what I mean by this. If I bring up the subject of Bitcoin, if I bring up the subject of real estate, if I bring it up just on this group right here, this small group, you're gonna have people with tremendous opinions. People are gonna go, I've been posting about Bitcoin, for example, on my Twitter. Half the people love it. They're like, guarantee, Tai, this is the greatest thing. The other half are like, this is horrible. It's never gonna be worth money, okay? That's not massive flexibility mentally. Here's what I mean by that. Could you, if you're a Democrat now, ever possibly become a Republican? And if you're a Republican, could you ever become a Democrat? Or if you're a conservative, could you become a liberal? Vice versa. If your answer is no, you're sure you could never do that, then that's not convictions, it's stubbornness. Because what massive mental flexibility means is this: you adapt fluidly to all new information. So if all of a sudden, let's say you've always voted Republican or you've always voted Democrat, and then a new candidate comes up. You know, half of this planet, not just in the United States, they literally vote by whatever party they're registered, which, how can people be that dumb? Are you telling me that no matter what, liberals are always wrong or conservatives always wrong? That no matter what, in every office in America, whether it be senators, congressmen, or if you're in other countries, you know, parliament, mayors, sheriffs, judges, all these things that get voted on, are we really thinking that literally everybody on the conservative side, if you're a conservative, is always right, or everybody? I mean, this is part of the problem in the world. People don't adapt fluidly to all new information. If you voted for Obama and then you got new information that he's doing a bad job, you should no longer support Obama. And if you voted for Trump and you have new information that Trump's not doing a job, you should be massively flexible. Why not? How is this possibly? You know, that's when science does a good job, when it builds airplanes that we fly in. It builds the electricity grids that we all rely on, and the internet and all this stuff. It's because they're not stuck. They have massive flexibility. Good scientists, bad scientists don't. So I want you to embrace the opposite side. And it's funny, today, somebody's like, Tai, why are you talking about Bitcoin? I'm doing a little Bitcoin mastermind at my house. I'm going to invite about 12 of the top Bitcoin experts in the world to my house in a week or so. And somebody said, Tai, I remember a few months ago, you were warning people, be careful with Bitcoin. How, are you a hypocrite? I'm like, no. Because the advice that I gave 3 months ago, I agree with. Be careful investing your money in anything. There's no sure bets. There's just some that are more sure than others. There's no sure bets. You can invest in real estate. You can start a business. You can put money in your bank account and it can disappear. People don't realize that. Even in the United States, there's something called FDIC insurance. Okay? Federal Insurance Depository Corps or something like that, corporation. It only protects, if you have $5 million in a bank, your local bank, and that bank goes bankrupt, you're not protected for all $5 million. Now, the US government might choose to step in, but they don't have to. So even banks aren't guaranteed. Real estate goes up and down. Bitcoin will go up and down. So, and what I said a few months ago is Bitcoin's going to make some people rich and some people poor. It's a zero-sum game. And when it goes up, the people who bought it do well, and the people who sold lost out. So, but I am always embracing the opposite side. I want to hear the opposite side. In fact, your number one, and this is hard, okay? This is very hard. Only a few of you are enough ninja to be able to do this step number 4. Enjoy proving yourself wrong. So don't just do it grudgingly. Oh, okay, well, I guess I got. Be excited, because the definition of learning is what? It's either filling a void or changing an opinion. So for example, if any of you have kids, when you teach your 2-year-old to speak English or Spanish or German or whatever, you're filling a void. They knew no language. You could say they were wrong. They used to speak in baby language, gaga goo goo. Whatever they wanted something, they would just point and make a noise. But the process of them, now a baby of course doesn't go, oh, I'm wrong. But that's really what teaching is. At its essence, you guys are in this program week by week because I am going to prove some of your current beliefs, methods, strategies wrong. So the second you're not excited by proving, or you do not enjoy proving yourself wrong, step number 5 doesn't happen. And step number 5 is you actively seek contradictory information. But you don't do number 5 if you don't have number 4. And I'm going to tell you, the people, this is all working together, what you're learning week by week. I talked about narcissism. One of the things of narcissists, which is the most common psychological ailment you will encounter, especially among business people, especially if you want to make money. A lot of narcissists. Narcissists are very sensitive to any contradictory information, anybody proving them wrong. They flip out. Do you know somebody that's very thin-skinned? Do you know somebody that if you show them, oh, well, what you said wasn't true, that they don't embrace it? Remember this quote. This is from the Bible. Rebuke a wise man and he will love you. Rebuke a fool and he will hate you. Now, at the beginning of this call, I kind of rebuked 1 or 2 people. Are they wise or fools? Because I was right. I mean, they have a point. Reading comments is not what you guys paid for, but it's I think it's important that each person here listens to diverse opinions, and you're not losing anything because I'm still going to do the talk. So they were wrong in that, and I don't know them. I hope they had the right reaction, because every time you're walking down planet life, your life, and you encounter somebody, and you have to contradict them and show them. Every time they get mad at you, know you're dealing not with a wise person. And every time somebody goes, oh, damn, I've been doing this wrong my whole life. Thank you. I am excited. Let's talk more. Maybe you got some more for me. Then you know you're with somebody who's wise. And wealthy and wise go together, by the way. Wealthy. Every time I don't do well with money, it's because I'm not being wise. And every time I do well financially, it's wisdom. At the core of this whole program is wisdom. I mean, this has been talked about for thousands of years. I don't care what religion you are. Atheist, they believe in wisdom. Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, in fact, what most of religions are trying to be is a wise way to life, a guide to life. So it's not enough, by the way, to just take correction from people. You must actively seek it. And so if you are not getting your feelings hurt, let me just add, it's normal to have your feelings hurt. You need to suppress that hurt and reconfigure it in your mind. So right here, enjoy proving yourself wrong. Let me just be clear. Your first gut feeling will not enjoy it. But in the overall, you have to reposition your mind till you do enjoy it. Nobody loves being corrected. I mean, that's why once people become 18 years old and they don't have to have parents legally being their guardians, people stop learning. Because learning necessarily means embracing the opposite of what you thought. Or embracing a void. If you wanted, I don't know Chinese, if you tried to teach me Chinese, it would be filling a void. Or, you know, sometimes I think I know Chinese, and then when I say it, I'm like, my accent's off and everything's wrong. So you got to become hungry for contradictory information. It's another word. We'll call it hungry. Hungry. So here's what I want to do. By the way, can they bring my laptop up down from my room? Is Alma here? Well, here, I'm going to go grab it, but because I have something I want you guys to do. This is very important and active. By the way, I don't want this just to be a lecture. This isn't a college classroom. I want this to be interactive. That's why it's live. I'm actually here live. I want you to write down three beliefs that you have that basically you don't want to be proven wrong. Let's keep religion out of this. That's for another conversation. But everything else is fair game. 3 beliefs you have that you are 99% sure are correct. It could be that Bitcoin is the best investment. It could be that you should become an entrepreneur. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I want the things you are super sure of. I want you to write down as comments. Everybody, 3. Think it through. Be specific. You're not allowed to say something like, that I'm alive or something. That's too broad. Something specific you believe. Like, let's say you're a Christian, so you believe divorce is bad for families. Write that down. If you think abortion is bad and immoral, write it down. If you think abortion is ethical and needed, write that down. If you think that Donald Trump is a great president, write it down. If you think he's a horrible president, I want you to write it down. I'm going to show you something. And it was interesting in this book I was reading yesterday. It was talking about how, just remember, none of us perceive actual reality. You know that your brain, you can be blind and have your eyes perfectly functional. Because your brain has to interpret what comes in through your eyes. So interpretations is where we get things wrong. Wars sometimes are fought over misinterpretations. Divorces sometimes are about misinterpretations. Lawsuits are sometimes no one meant to hurt the other person, they just misunderstood each other. So I want you to go to your core root beliefs. It can be about money, it can be about health. If you're a vegan and you are 99% sure that everybody should be vegan who wants to be healthy, write that down. Just 3 sentences, 3 little phrases. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I want to give you guys 2 or 3 minutes. Write down 3, and I want you to do controversial ones. Nobody here pick super easy ones like, I believe that I live in America or something like that. Like, not factual ones those are called, there's a difference between a priori logic and a posteriori. I do live in America, I'm sure, because we've defined this area as America. It's not subjective because we put the definition on it. So that's the difference. I don't want to get into high-level logic, a priori versus a posteriori. Right here. Yeah. I'm not going to get into that thingy. Just because, well, I'm not going to go anywhere. But I still want you guys to take 2 minutes, start writing. I'm going to mute this. Two minutes. Most controversial beliefs that you have. No, I just unmuted. What do we got? Remember, you get out in this program what you put in. So if you put nothing in and you don't participate in this, I promise you, you're going to get less out. Science has shown that the process of just writing stuff down actually doubles or increases by 50% your retention. So very important. You're not going to retain this stuff if you're never interacting with the comments. By the way, any of you that finish early and are impatient because you have emotionality issues or agreeableness issues, go to iBooks right now and download a book and start reading. There's been 130 million books published. You probably won't finish them in your downtime, so get started. You know what I mean? No time is ever wasted. Famous saying, everything comes to him who hustles while he waits. Make sure you're hustling while you wait. Think deeply on this, by the way. Think deeply, everybody. All right, let's start going through these. What do we have here? Rapata. By the way, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with trends? Catching trends. This has everything to do with catching trends. Just people don't understand. They don't look deep enough. Of course, observational skills aren't enough. There's no book that can just teach you. You can't write a book on what the future trend is going to be because that goes against the definition of a trend. A trend is almost always unexpected, or else there'd be no profit to it. If you could have predicted that starting Amazon in 1999 was a good idea in 1979, Jeff Bezos wouldn't have made Amazon because someone else would have started the foundation of it in 79. Trends are unexpected. So that means the person who has an eagle eye. You know, Google how far an eagle can see, Maya. An eagle eye. This is the thing. You should put this on your vision board for yourself. Put this on a vision board for yourself. A picture of a eagle. What is it? What can they see at 2 miles? A rabbit. They can see a rabbit at 2 miles away. That's a trend catching animal. They catch the trend and they're there. When the rabbit is running, they go to where the rabbit is going to be. Just like a good sniper. You're shooting where the person's gonna be. If you shoot at where it is, you always are behind it. Okay? And some of you are always behind the times because you're not listening to what I'm talking about now. You're not becoming highly observational. So let's do this. Read a few of these, and I want to start a small debate, but not too big of a debate because this could go on forever. Belief that I'm single because of my focus on work and business. Great. I'm going to smash some beliefs which open up your eyes. 90% of millionaires have been married a long time. There's this weird thing in the world, and I'm not married, so I'm not biased in this, obviously. A lot of people say this weird thing that they just made up this hypothesis. Oh yeah, I got to work on myself. That's not, read the book, The Millionaire Next Door, the largest survey of millionaires. 90% of them are married. Really. So that's a false belief. You should be excited that I just exposed that belief. Literally. Okay? You should be excited. Why? Correct a wise person and they will love you. Correct a fool and they will hate you. Who's the fool in this conversation? Who here, let's be honest, has been having that belief that somehow being single is needed to become successful? It's based on nothing. Nothing. Bill Gates been married. I mean, all these people, every billionaire is basically married, except I was at the Rihanna dinner in New York with the youngest bachelor billionaire in the world. So there's a few, but not many. Larry Ellison been married. Some of them are divorced, but. All right, what else? Let's see what else we got. All right, let me find a good one. I want to smash false beliefs. Yeah, learning from Tai will make you a fortune. Let's smash that belief, because one of my goals is to make you a learner, a learning machine, and then you learn from everybody. There's no way you would only want to learn from me, because I have blind spots, I have weaknesses, and there's people who made a lot more money than me. So what you would only use my teaching to basically leverage you into learning from people better than me. And that's what I try to do. If you notice, it's not like the cult of Tai. I mean, most of my stuff is like books. You go on my website, I've got the top 100 books you should read. None of them are my book, okay? If you look in my, if you're those of you in my social media marketing agency program, half or more of the lessons are taught by other people, not me. 67 steps is only about half of those are my own. The other half I got from other people. So get rid of that. If you're too focused on me, you'll lose the trends. You won't see other people that are giving cool information. All right, controversy. I believe President Donald Trump is a horrible president. Okay, remember, I'm going to play devil advocate. I'm not telling you what I believe. I'm just playing devil's advocate with everything that I read here, okay? So don't get mad at me. Is President Donald Trump a crappy president? Well, I'll just put it to you this way. Has he started a war? Because George Bush did. Okay. So did he start the Vietnam War like JFK, who's a loved president, started to freaking basically got us in Vietnam, where you had 58,000 American soldiers killed, 250,000 wounded, about 2 million South Vietnamese army regulars killed. They were on our side. And then I think 6 million or something North Koreans. So you're talking the death of 10 million people over nothing. America didn't get one thing out of it. We didn't stop communism, blah, blah, blah. So Lyndon B. Johnson also was involved in that. 10 million, has Donald Trump killed 10 million people? Okay, he tweets too much about the NFL. Whoop-de-doo. At least he ain't sending people to their slaughter like in the Vietnam War. Are you expanding your mind, all you Trump haters? Now, I'm not a Trump lover, to be clear. I'm just playing devil's advocate with anything, because the second your eyes become more like an eagle, you're going to catch the next business trend. You're going to stop being so in love with your idea. I'm not going to do abortion. That one's just too much for me right now to do. But I could do it with abortion. Derek says, unrealistic optimism is your best superpower. Oh, Derek, I'm going to destroy that in a heartbeat. I just read the most cutting edge science. They did a long study of people who are overly optimistic as students and professionals in jobs. They do worse in school and they make less money. That one's called reaching. So all you people who are like, because I get people do these dark triad tests and they go, Tai, I'm a narcissist, but being a narcissist will help you be a better athlete, I'm just like, you are a moron who are you're literally inventing things. Really. Like you are inventing life that doesn't even exist. There's no proof that people, maybe there is. In my searching, I've never seen proof of it. So, if you can prove it, show me the article. I can show you the exact article. In fact, let me see if I have it right here, just to show you I'm not making stuff up. I try to find other people. Okay, here we go. If you're not using something called Evernote to store your notes, you're missing out. Here we go. I found it. Narcissism, benefits versus negative. It's called Positive Illusions About the Self. You can just Google this. Richard Robbins from UC Davis, Positive Illusions About the Self. Google that if you want to double check and see if I'm telling you the truth. Positive Illusions About the Self by Richard Robbins. I read this literally a week ago. I'll read you the conclusion. He has tons of science. Look at the data correlation charts here. This is like real science. It's a little bit hard to see there, but there you go. Okay? Real science from UC Davis. Here's the conclusion at the end. I'll read it to you. Conclusion: the present research suggests several future directions for the study of positive illusions. Claims about the adaptive or maladaptive consequences of positive illusions need to specify the particular type of illusions. Hold on, let me find the part where it says this. Actually, here, this is a better part. You can literally see the grid. Here you go. So it's called Correlates and Consequences of Self-Enhancement Bias in the College Context. Okay? Narcissism, self-serving attribution, and it shows if it's correlated with your doing better in school. And self-enhancers decline in well-being. Isn't that interesting? Your overly optimistic people are actually suffer a decline in well-being. You see all this stuff. I literally posted a tweet. You should check out my Twitter. Not because it's mine, but for those of you in social media, I'm starting to do a lot more on Twitter because I like it. I can say quick thoughts. And one of the things I said is when somebody's Instagram is 100% pictures, selfies, what does that say about them? And one of the top replies was, Tai, it shows that self-love is important. They love each other. And what did they say? Self-love is the best kind of love. It's not. That guy was going to go through his whole life believing self-love is the best kind of love. Self-love, this is just a modern thing about self-esteem can be too high. Let me just put it to you that way. And I can prove it. But it can also be too low. So like anything, you don't want it too high, you don't want it too low. Do you think it's possible to be too skinny? Yes. Is it possible to be too fat? Yes. So what should you be? Healthy. Is it possible to be too sure of yourself? Yes. So I'm not going to talk too much more on this because anybody that doesn't see that, they got hard lessons they got to learn in life, unfortunately. Okay. Let's see one more. Let's get one other. Now again, I'm showing you this because I want you to be able to do it. Now some people say, Tai, does that mean you should have no convictions? Well, it depends on what you consider convictions. I mean, you shouldn't have any Ku Klux Klan convictions. People in Ku Klux Klan are stuck. I just was reading this book called, that's another book I read yesterday. It's called White Rage. It's a black historian giving their side of the story of American history. And it's a tough book to read. It makes some valid points, boy. And race right now is dividing America, and it's pretty much dividing because nobody's actively seeking contradictory information. I'm going to tell you this. Those people are not going to be really good at business like you're going to be good. Judith says real estate is a good investment at this time, is her strong-held belief. I'll just tell you this. The key to real estate is continually buying through all markets. Then something happens called dollar cost averaging. So let me give you an example. With real estate, and this is the same, by the way, if you believe in Bitcoin, the stock market, gold, whatever. In capitalistic society, all things go in swings because of simple supply and demand, quote unquote, generally not regulated by the government. In communist countries, they try to control supply and demand to make it not have ebbs and flows, but it never works. In communist countries, fall all apart. But that's in pure capitalism. America is not a purely capitalistic country, but if it was, we would allow unregulated fluxes in supply and demand. But it still happens even though we put some regulation. So for example, around the year 2000, actually let me do it this way. I'll do a little graph here. Around the year 2000, the stock market went down, okay, and then it went up until 2007, okay. This, you could do whatever you want here. This could be overall wealth, GDP, this could be, you probably would use here, you could use the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you could use S&P 500, whatever you want. So it goes up, then 2008, it went down, and then it stayed down in a period of contraction, this is called, till about, I'm gonna just guess 2013, roughly, okay? And now it's been going up again, and now we're in 2017, okay? Now this is normal, and sometimes it goes down further than others. But with real estate or the stock market or anything, if you bought right here, that's great. So you bought a home when it's cheap. And if you sold it here, you do great. The problem is, remember one of the first things I said about mastering trends? Don't overestimate your ability to predict the exact best time to buy and sell. You should just continually buy and sell, because what that means is you bought here, let's say a house for 100 grand. And then you sold, and now it's worth 200 grand. And you buy houses here because you're continually buying, okay? Let's say you're not even selling. So you buy another home at 200 grand. So now you bought a home, so you have two homes. One that you paid 200 grand and one that you paid 100, but now it's worth 200 grand. Now let's say it goes down and you buy another house. So it crashes 2008, it's contraction, you buy another house here. Now houses go down to, let's say, 150 grand. Okay? So now you have a house that you paid 100 grand for, your first one. You have but it's now worth more, it's now worth less again, but you only paid 100. You have one you paid 200, and now you're gonna pay 150. So total, you'll have 100, 300, 450. That's called your cost basis, by the way, if you want to know technical terms. So now that means the amount of money you have invested of your own cash that you already paid taxes on. So if you have a job salary after tax, you had 350 grand that you've bought 3 homes. Now guess what happens? As long as you keep staying in the market, if you liquidate here, you're in trouble. That's why I said you got to continually keep buying. And then when it comes back up, all of a sudden, now let's say you have 3 homes all worth 200 grand, okay, if it comes back to 2007. So now, what's 200 grand? If you sell them, that's $600,000, and how much did we say you paid? You paid 100 grand here, 200 here, and 150 here. So that's 450. Did I do my math wrong? 100. Yeah, you have 450 in. Sorry, I said 350, I had it wrong. So guess what? You still have a profit of 150 grand. So by buying even through the recessions, okay, you buy low, and sometimes you make a mistake and you buy high, but it doesn't matter, you keep buying. And this in financial terms is called dollar cost averaging. And if you do it in the stock market, if you do it in gold, if you do it in anything, over time, you pay less, which is what you want, than people continually buying. So you have to find something you believe in and stick to it. It's kind of like a business partner. You have to find one business partner and you got to stay with them through the ups and the downs, because there'll be downs and there'll be hard times. But if you pick the right business partner, you can stick with it. So odds are, is real estate a good business partner? Yes, because the odds are people are going to need homes to live in forever. As long as humans are on this planet and we have thin skins and we can't handle blizzards or hurricanes, we need shelter. So you just continually buy. So part of timing, and this is just going back, I wanted to accentuate this note. If you try to time it perfectly, what usually happens is people don't buy here because they say it's a recession. Oh, I'm not buying a house now. It's a recession. Then they wait till everybody's buying houses. They buy here, then they freak out here, and they sell. So let me show you what happens there. If you didn't buy here, and you bought there at 200 grand, and then you sell when it's at 150, you lost $50,000. But you gotta have thicker skin. You have to have the ability to see the big trend, and the big trend is a trend that's been here for centuries. So I wanna show you this. Some of you are mistaken. You think that when I say trends, I mean new trends. I tell people, don't put words in my mouth. Trend doesn't, who said a trend has to be new? Bell bottoms came back in style. You see girls occasionally nowadays wearing bell bottoms. That's a trend. That was a trend in the 1970s, went out of style and came back in style. So remember this, there's old and new trends. One of the richest men in India, he started with like $1 and he's a billionaire now, and he got in the steel business. Steel is a centuries old business, but he caught a trend. He still caught it when it was the right time. But he didn't try to time it exactly. This is kind of confusing, I know. People go, but Tai, you're saying catch it at the right time, but there is no right time. This is what I mean, just to be clear. The time is when you recognize the opportunity. That's when the trend begins. See me? See what I'm saying? This is a little bit of a, you're gonna have to think deeply. The trend exists when you recognize it. You kind of make, I believe, and I'm not trying to get too hippie here on you. If you read the book Think and Grow Rich, you can actually create opportunity where people don't see it. For example, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in late 1970s, they believed that it was the time now for people to embrace personal computers, not just big, huge mainframe supercomputers that corporations had, like IBM, but actual, everyday you and I would have a computer like this. And they went to the top experts at Berkeley, and everybody said, this is BS. And Steve Jobs and Bill Gates' eyes were open, and they became evangelists, and they created a new quote-unquote religion. They started a trend. Some of you can start trends. You know, I've kind of started a trend. Books have not been something that have been talked about or sexy for a long time, and I've tried to. I'm not saying I've done it perfectly, but I've created a trend. A lot more people are reading books, at least the people who follow me. Okay? So sometimes you create a micro trend, and sometimes you change the whole world. But remember this, trends can be old and they can be new, but they begin when your eyes open. Now you might try to argue with this and say, but Tai, you talked about basketball. You said you missed the trend. So I thought if you open up your eyes, instantly the trend opens. It does. It does. I'm more and more involved in the NBA. It's not always how it would have been had I caught that first trend, and this is the positive news I have for some of you. Every one of us, actually, on this call has missed big trends. We've missed Netflix. We've missed this. But now, guess what? If you can become open-minded, you will create new trends where they don't exist. That's the definition of an entrepreneur. Almost all millionaires, they didn't just catch a trend. They started a trend. And the trend might have already been slightly on its way, but they were like a surfboard. The wave was already there, but you got to put a surfboard on top of it to ride the wave. So when your eyes open, you create the surfboard. And hopefully there's a wave behind it. So here's the ocean, here's a wave, right? It's a horrible wave. Wow, I'm not good at drawing waves. Here's the beach over here. Here's the surfboard. And here's you riding this wave. You need the wave, which is the general population's view of things. For example, if Bill Gates and Steve Jobs had the idea of Apple computers, and Microsoft in 1912, there was no wave. There wasn't electricity. There wasn't the hardware. But if they hadn't opened their eyes, I guarantee you, even to this day, we might not have computers, or it would have taken an extra 5 or 10 years. But they opened their eyes and they created Microsoft. And Microsoft and Apple was their surfboard. You had two guys riding a surfboard here. But notice, if they hadn't opened their eyes, the wave would have still been there, but it would have washed and nobody would have used it. And there's so many things in the economy right now that are just, you can create, like I created this idea of this social media marketing agency. Nobody had ever done it before. And now I've had over 25,000 or 30,000 people trained in that, and lots of people making money out of something. Now the wave was already there. The wave was there. It was the fact that people are using social media. So businesses need help getting on social media and doing the social media right. But had we not created this surfboard and somebody hadn't gotten on it, it would have still be sitting there. I launched that in October of last year, basically 1 year ago. And it just caught on. I didn't even know. So was it an old trend or was it a new trend? Well, old trends are advertising. How long's advertising been around for? Ogilvy. If you watch the show, what's the show with John Hamm? Mad Men. That's about an advertising agency, 50 years ago. So it's old, but it's also new. You see, that's what I was trying to say. Some people struggle with that. They're like, wait, is it old or is it new? Do I catch old? Do I catch it? It's always both. The wave is old. There's always a wave washing through this world. There's always a wave. There's a new wave. Bitcoin. Bitcoin would be the surfboard. The wave is money. People spend money. And some person, in fact, they don't even know, the person who invented Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has never, it's a person, what's the name, Satoshi something or whatever? Nobody knows who they are. They wrote a paper on a new way to create money called the blockchain, cryptocurrencies, but it was a wave that already existed, money. People have been spending, before there was US dollars, there was gold. Before there was gold, they were using seashells, Native Americans. So it's an old trend and a new trend. And if your eyes are open, because you're continually challenging every belief you have, all of a sudden you become the eagle eye. You become the eagle that's flying way up here. I'm not even going to try to, I'm just going to put the word eagle. And you can see 2 miles down that there needs to be a surfboard there. And you create that surfboard. And that's how, for the most part, wealth is created in this world. By a few people that see something. Somebody said, what about weed? Yeah, weed is a perfect one. Some people think weed is horrible for you. Some people think weed is amazing for you. The truth is, it's mixed. Some people have negative effects with marijuana and some people don't. So if you're too in love with marijuana or you hate it too much, you don't have the eagle eye and you're going to miss a trend. There's a trend in marijuana. There's medical marijuana. In fact, my friend's doing a business talk today, and there's like 300 top people involved in that industry making millions of dollars. So, there's an opportunity. I'm watching Narcos with Pablo Escobar, and now I'm on the last season, which has Pablo Escobar is dead. It's not a spoiler alert. If you're watching Narcos and you don't know that Pablo Escobar dies, you seriously don't know anything about history. But
there's season 4 of it?
Yeah, there's going to be a season 4. So it's now about the Cali cartel. And basically what happens is the trend was already there. People buying cocaine in America. Now, I'm not recommending you do this business, but I'm just explaining how the show's about. The wave was drug usage in the United States. Like cocaine in Colombia would be nothing if nobody was buying it. So the wave existed, and first there was Pablo Escobar, and then came the Cali cartel, and then came the Mexican, the Zetas and the whatever the Mexican. I mean, now it's this huge thing. But Pablo Escobar had the initial eagle eye to really go, I can turn this into a huge bit. And he was making $1 billion cash a month. It's quite a bit of money. He was making so much money, he spent $2,000 a month on rubber bands. You know how many rubber bands you can get for $2,000? You can basically fill a room with rubber bands. That's how much he needed for the cash per month. This dude was making a lot of money. Now again, hopefully nobody uses this program and sends me a testimonial. Hey Ty, before you, I just a regular person and now I run the Colombian cartel. I don't condone that, okay? So somebody inevitably will misinterpret what I said, I'm sure, and be like, Ty taught me to do this. All right. Let's talk about something here. Let's take some questions. Let's take some questions. Okay. Trends. I want to open this up. What have I not covered in trends that you need to hear to feel good about this lesson? I want you to, or this call. Is selling video courses a relevant trend today? Abso-freaking-lutely. Yes, it's going to, video is a trend that's, by 2020, Google estimates that 70% of all video usage, all internet usage will be watching videos. It's already that way. What do you think people do on Facebook now? Do you watch videos or do you write post updates? Remember how Facebook used to be about status updates? Like, oh, I'm at my friend's. Nobody does that anymore. Does anybody do that anymore? People watch stupid videos on Facebook. As far as I can tell, that's what Facebook has become. You're watching either a political video, a funny video, or a sad video. Okay. People asking about Bitcoin. I'm thinking of doing an ICO. Georgie, what is the process of copy and pasting of trends from the US? Okay. Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about this. Very practical lesson. If you don't know what to do, what trends to catch, here's a great idea for you. You take a globe of the world, okay? Let's say you live in the United States and somebody else you have a friend who lives in Europe. You don't know what to do, ask them what's trending in Europe. If your friend's from Bulgaria, if they're from Sweden, if they're from London, they're from Barcelona, if they're from Paris, if they're from Berlin. You can do it by country, you can do it by city. You can do it by Switzerland, the country, or you can pick, specific Rome, Italy. Find what's working there, and sometimes literally there's 3 brothers in Germany. They're worth about $7 billion last time I checked. All they did was they copied every American idea. They made a German version of eBay. They called it like Gbay. No, they didn't do that, but they basically did it like that. They literally copied. Red Bull was started in, I think, Switzerland or Austria. Austria by a guy named Mateschitz, who was in Asia. Yeah, Japan, Thailand, he was flying. He got the idea, he brought it here. Nike was from Japan. Phil Knight would buy shoes from Japanese because they were different than anything they had in America. So don't be afraid to look at opposite countries. If you're in a small country, look to a big country or another small country. That's why I like to read a lot of you got to read a wide variety of stuff. If you're just reading stuff in your country, then it's the blind leading the blind. Okay. Homework, I'll get to that in a second. Lots of questions here. All right, a little bit off subject, but a good question. How do we convince a company to pay us when we're a new company with a great product, social media marketing team? The best way to launch something to new people is to do a free sample for them. This is the best advice you're going to get. It's better than any more. So, for example, if you have a snack food bar company, and best way you can get people is to have people standing at Whole Foods with a little sample of your snack bar, handing it out. and be like, oh, by the way, if you like this, it's on aisle 5. Free first, just small. It doesn't, so I'm not saying, because some people misinterpret this, in the social media marketing agency, I'm not saying you need to do a free 1 month or free 3 months. You could just do what I call a free audit of their website and give them a 1-pager going, your Google site speed page loads, you're not mobile optimized. Look, your Instagram has a 0.001 engagement rate, whereas your competitors have a 2%. Like, you can give them a 1-pager and show how much you know, how valuable your service is, and you're done in 20 minutes, as opposed to doing 1 year free work or 1 week or 1 month. So samples don't have to be large. If you're at the grocery store, they give small samples, but you must do better at sampling. All of you struggling with getting customers in any business, it's because you haven't done free sampling right. For example, how did I start in everything I'm doing now that you see courses? I started with free emails. People, all my friends, I got to join an email where I would send them book reviews. I started that in 2013, I think, 2012 or 2013. And then they started forwarding them to their friends, and their friends started joining, and the next thing you know, I had 10,000 people on my free email list. And I still didn't sell anything to them. It wasn't until 2014 when I launched the 67 Steps, was in July 2014. So now that's because I had other business going. You don't have to wait 1 or 2 years of free samples. I was just busy with old businesses that I had. But the point being, when I finally charged money for it, people loved it because they had already had the free version, and now I was giving them a more enhanced version. So that, if you're new to business and you're intimidated because you're like, nobody's going to pay me for my services. Yes, they will, if you give a good enough one. If you give a good enough freaking sample, they're going to sign up. Okay? All right. Let's see another one. .idea. What are all the supplements you take with food? Oh, I test my blood. So, yeah. I do what the tests say. The hiring and firing is somewhat against what Dale Carnegie would preach. Well, Dale Carnegie, very smart guy. I don't want to contradict him. But remember, we live in a modern world where people have less common sense than they did 50 years ago. Okay? Some people want to argue with me that. I promise you it's true, and here's why. If you've ever been around kids who grow up on a farm versus kids who grow up on the city, kids who grow up on a farm are given daily responsibilities by the time they were 5. And so in the 1940s, about 60% of the world grew up in rural settings. In fact, in the year 1900, 90% of people grew up in the countryside, 10% of people in cities. In the year 2000, it flip-flopped. 90% of people grow up in the city. And so they grow up with parents, they don't have any responsibilities. They grow up in the weird public school system where it's just like free-for-all, just bizarre. So people are smarter on tests now than they were 100 years ago. But common sense, no. So Dale Carnegie was a guy from the 20s, 30s, 40s. He's teaching you, when you were hiring people, probably 7 out of 10 assistants that you hired already had been an assistant on the farm to their dad. The world's changed, man. Let me put it this way. I was at the Amish farm this weekend that I lived at for 2 years, okay, in Virginia. If you watch my Snapchat, it's still on my Instagram story. So I was there. It's hilarious. I brought about 5-6 people from my office, and they were all blown away because when we were driving up to the Amish, now the Amish use different equipment. They don't have cars, but this group of Amish, they allow like little bobcats, like little teeny, they're not bulldozers, but they're called bobcats, okay, or skid steers. And so out on the road, a guy named Toby Miller was out on the road. So I drove up to him. I said, hey, I'm coming to visit. And I said, why are you out here in the middle of the road? He said, one of my sheep ran across, got out of the field, and there was a river right by the road, and swam across the river and was stuck in the bushes. So he said, I got to go down and get it. And he had driven his skid steer, little bobcat piece of equipment, with him, his 9-year-old son, and his 5-year-old son. So he went down there, he got the sheep, brought it up, and he had to carry it back. So he told his son's name's Abner. He said, Abner, bring the skid steer home. And he just walked off. And he left his 9-year-old and his 5-year-old to take this piece of equipment and drive back. And all the people with me were like, oh my gosh, isn't that dangerous? I said, no, an Amish 9-year-old kid is way more useful than any person I've ever hired in all my entrepreneurial career on day one. Trust me. I've never hired, I've hired people that were CPAs and accountants and they had specialized skill at that 9-year-old Amish. But overall, responsibility, conscientiousness, attention to detail, perfectionism, diligence, no, prudence, no. And sure enough, that 9-year-old kid, he put his brother up on the stair, little 5-year-old, turned around, it has a little joystick, drove it back home. Because I've been telling for years, I go, a 9-year-old Amish kid is more responsible than any adult I've ever hired, and I've hired a ton of people. So Dale Carnegie's advice that you don't have to be so picky comes from a time that I wish I lived in sometimes, where the common sense was no longer uncommon. Now common sense is the most uncommon thing in the world, I swear. It's bizarre, and it's getting worse. I don't know why. I think it's just technology, and I think there's a lot of, honestly, I think because to have children takes no requirement. All you have to do is sleep with somebody. So you get people with no life skills giving birth to lots of people with no life skills. And sadly, the birth rate from people who are actually have common sense is low, so it's an issue. All right. Tai, what kind of implications do you see budding in the next 6 months to a year with e-bikes or bicycle sharing programs like Lime Bike? Well, I saw a thing in China, a company failed because they had like 100,000 umbrellas. It was an umbrella sharing company, and you just, wherever you are, you grab an umbrella, but Chinese stole 100,000 umbrellas, so the company has none left. So you must test this bike idea. It certainly works in Europe. You see bikes everywhere. Norway has an extensive bike arrangement. London has one.
We have one now, Ty.
LA has one, which like 2 people use. Who's using the LA bike one?
I know people using it.
They're using it on the freeway on the 101. I don't know if LA, if I was in the bike market, I would pick New York over LA, because LA is, you don't want to get on a bike here. You're going to die. But I do think that if you open your eyes and try to prove yourself wrong, maybe you'll find something better than bike. For example, Uber. Literally, there was all these companies doing bike sharing, Zip car, all this, and then one guy and his, one group, this Travis guy and his co-founder, they said, well, forget giving people bikes. We'll have an app where a car will pick you up. And that company's worth $70 billion. See, if you're so in love with your bike idea or your skateboarder idea or your umbrella idea, you miss the bigger ones. Blockbuster Video was so in love with this idea, then they're like, okay, we'll do no fees. They didn't want to disprove their business model. They didn't want to say that the times have changed, the wave has changed. Nobody wants to go to video stores. They want to have videos mailed to them. And Blockbuster could have put Netflix out of business. They could have bought Netflix. They didn't, and Netflix obliterated them. So open your eyes. Never be in love with your idea. Try to disprove your idea. In fact, Charlie Munger, the billionaire, said you should never hold any belief that you can't argue the other side better than the opposition themselves can do. So he basically said you're not allowed to hate Donald Trump until you can argue for Donald Trump better than most Republicans. And for all the people who love Trump, Charlie Munger said you cannot love Trump unless you can argue for the liberal anti-Trump side better than they can. Because what he was saying is the process of arguing both sides opened your eyes to possibilities that nobody sees except you. If Blockbuster had argued against themselves and said, we think we need to get rid of all these buildings, they wouldn't have re-signed the leases. American Apparel is another company. They went bankrupt. They were doing $600 million a year in clothing sales, one of the top brands in the world, recognizable brand, and they went to zero. They went bankrupt. Their stock went to negative. I remember looking up American Apparel one day and it was like negative $1, which means they're bankrupt. You don't want to own a share that's negative. That means you actually owe money, which if you're a passive investor in America, you can't owe money on a passive investment for the most part. So, but the owners owed money. They were $500 million in debt. And a lot of that debt was because they kept owning buildings. They weren't arguing against themselves. They should have. I was at the Playboy Mansion and the founder of American Apparel was there. And I didn't talk to him, but if he had argued against himself, he'd probably still be in business. He'd just have less stores, more shipping. People buy clothes online. So, you know, if you don't listen to what I'm saying, with whether it's the bike sharing thing or whatever, you're basically making it easy for competition to destroy you. If you don't mind being destroyed, yeah. I just got a message from Uber this morning. They told me that by the 14th of October, the Quebec government is not going to let them continue. So, yes, Uber made some mistakes. In fact, the new CEO of Uber apologized. He said, we've been too proud. And they pissed off the United Kingdom, and guess what happened? The United Kingdom shut them down. They're no longer allowed, or at least in London. So be very careful of not having an open mind, because even the biggest companies disappear. I mean, Bill Gates said he made a mistake. He didn't believe the internet was going to be big. That's a pretty big mistake. And that's why, by the way, basically that Apple is now a bigger company than Microsoft, because they embraced, and Amazon's catching up very quickly. So, let's see what else. You spoke the biggest truth of today's decadent society, worthless people reproducing. Yes, and not everybody's worthless. I'm not going to be extreme, but yeah. Best way to set up for retirement as a full-time entrepreneur. A lot of people get jobs just for the benefits. Very simple. One of the lessons, I did a seminar for those of you. By the way, little reminder, October 6th, if you don't have your ticket to come to Los Angeles for my mentor conference, you're missing out. I'm going to be over 500 people there. We have a link, Ty. We have a link? Yeah, we have a link. And what is it?
/mentor LA. I'll put a button up too.
Yeah, we'll put a button here. It's tailopez.com/mentor LA. The conference is in Santa Monica. It's all day, Friday, October 6th. You can fly in the morning and fly out at night. You can come for a couple days.
No, you should fly outside.
Yeah, I would, if you have time, fly in Thursday night or drive in Thursday night, spend the night, wake up. It starts at around 9 or 10 in the morning and goes till 9 or 10 at night. It's just one intensive day. I'm going to tell you why you want to come. First of all, I'm bringing in like my mentor, Joel Salatin will be, he hasn't spoken at one of these in a year or two. So I haven't done these in a while. I'm bringing in amazing speakers, but the business networking aspect is so big. At one of these last ones that I did a year or two ago, that's where Samir and Jesus met. And now they're making $200,000 a month. And they were making $2,000 a month each. They were making around $5,000, $2,500 each. And now they're probably netting $50,000 or $60,000 a month. So there's a button below. When we're done with this call, go grab your ticket. Okay? If you were in the social media marketing agency, we even have a free, that you can get a free ticket because we promised you one depending on when you bought. We have your name, one of the bonuses, and all you have to do is we have a little deposit and we'll refund it. That way, if you don't show up, we keep your deposit. It's a free ticket if you show up, but if you tell us you're going to be there and then we don't fill your seat, so yeah. But for those of you who don't have the free ticket emailed to you, it's very cheap. I'm not making it, it's not a goal, it's not a money maker really for me. It's more of a tool that you need. So come out October 6th, it's in about 10 days, okay? So going back to setting up retirement, one of the things that I talked about in one of my last seminars in person, you need to have a good CPA working for you. And a CPA, certified public accountant, nothing else. Don't get an enrolled agent. Don't get a regular accountant. They need to have, in the United States, those 3 letters. If you're outside the U.S., find the similar equivalent. CPA, and what you do, towards the end of the year, they will tell you how much you should move into your retirement accounts. So whether it's a, SEP IRA, whether it's traditional IRA, Roth IRA, you can set up a 401k for your own company. You can have a 401k for just one or a few people. So if you don't have many employees, in fact, there's some advantages when you don't have as many employees, but you should set up one of these, benefit programs for yourself if you're an entrepreneur. You can set them up for your employees and yourself, but it's important that you do that because there's big tax incentives to do them. And now a lot of these IRAs, you can self-direct them and you can invest in gold and you can invest in real estate through your IRA, which basically means you can take money, not pay taxes on it legally, and then invest it into things that go up in value, and you don't have to pay taxes until you liquidate it when you're 65 or 70. If you do a Roth IRA, it's backwards basically. You pay the taxes now, but you don't ever have to pay taxes again on the increased appreciation and cash flow. So yeah, that's very important. That's a good question. Let's see here. I'm checking my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything that I wanted to hit on. We've been going here 2.5 hours. All right. Okay, there was a question here about, Alan, how do you relate blue ocean strategy to trend catching? So there's this book and there's a theory in marketing about blue ocean and red ocean. One is like when you come up with brand new ideas. Red oceans are basically where there's a lot of competition. They're both okay. Like Elon Musk started Tesla, which is a car company, which you could argue is a red ocean. There's a lot of car companies. There's tons in the US and globally. And they're big ones. Ford is big. General Motors is big. Toyota is big. Mercedes, Fiat, Audi, these are huge companies globally, right? But he still now built Tesla in a matter of like 10 years to bigger than Ford. So that was a red ocean strategy that worked. Try to argue against all theories. If a theory says that you got to do something new to make money, remember what I said on the page before? If you study things, you'll see that both old and new trends, both blue and red oceans can be explored. What you have to do though, the red ocean could be the wave. You can create a new surfboard. So Elon Musk, the wave of red ocean competitors was the whole car industry. People buying cars from Ford, from Toyota, from Audi. But he put a new surfboard on it, a new trend, which was an electric car that looked cool, that was very fast, and that's Tesla. And so you can combine blue and red ocean strategy. Tai, what's some good books when I was becoming a CFP? I read the textbooks. You can read, if you really want to learn CFP finance, you can just get the textbooks. It's a little advanced, but Tai, would you still recommend the webinar for people who don't currently have a business? Which webinar are you speaking of? I'm not sure which one. Tai, what should you look for in a CPA, certified public accountant? Pretty much any CPA. Because if they're a bad CPA, they usually lose their license. So you can use Yelp if you want, see if they got good or bad reviews. Most CPAs know what they're doing. Not all CPAs know everything. That is true. I guarantee you there's bad CPAs out there. There's also bad medical doctors. But in general, if you break your arm, you should go to a medical doctor, not your friend who knows how to do first aid from when he learned it in a class or something like that. So yes, CPAs, just because they're a CPA, it doesn't guarantee that it's perfect, but it increases the chances. Trust me. A CPA or an EA, an enrolled agent is more about doing taxes, but a CPA can do more than just taxes. Ty, can you talk about trend stacking? All right, let me talk real quick on this. Actually, Chase West asked, where can we specifically look to keep a pulse on current trends? All right, good question. I'm going to give you guys a very practical lesson that I've never really done a video on this. You're the first one. If you have iPhone, can you highlight this? You go to the News app, okay? I don't know how it is on Android, but I think there's something similar. You go here, search News. Yeah, it's this one. So you click on News. Okay, and this shows you on the home page of News, it'll show you kind of the most cutting edge news stories. Okay, so here's the top story. Now what happens is you can also enroll to different things. So I want you to go down here on the bottom and I want you to subscribe. It says favorites. And I want you to look for one called TechCrunch right here. TechCrunch. And I want you to mark that as one of your favorites. TechCrunch. You can search for it here. There's a search button. You put in TechCrunch. TechCrunch, every one of you need to be checking that at least once a week. Okay? Why? So there, it'll show you channels, TechCrunch. You click there and you put a heart on it. Okay? You put a heart on it, and now TechCrunch is one of your favorites. See the little heart up here? You want to heart that. And that means every day, or you don't have to check it every day, but I check it at least once a week. I scroll through there and it publishes, it shows me all the trends people are trying to catch. The Inside, a maker of so-called fast furniture, raised $1.5 million. Oculus virtual reality glasses, the electric vacuum, anti-dilution of raising capital, robotic pharmacy, the making of the SolarWinds secure cell phone, Signal update keeps your address book secret, Twitter trial expanding tweets from 140 to 280 characters. That's a cool trend I didn't know about. I just saw that now. Uber is pulling out of Quebec due to regulatory. So I just gave you guys, for those of you who didn't know about TechCrunch, it's a free thing that just that one tip that you got from today makes all of today worth it and this whole course, because as you start to watch TechCrunch, okay, you start to see what other people are doing, which allows you to do something called trend stacking. So I'm going to end with this and I'll answer a few more questions and give you your homework in a second. By the way, one of your assignments in homework is going to be to track TechCrunch until the next call. I want you guys, in fact, let's just do this right now so that if anybody has a problem, let's take 2 minutes, go to your phone. If you don't have the News app, download it real fast. Let's do it right now. Take 2 minutes. I want you to favorite TechCrunch. Everybody, you should be saving TechCrunch. Let me see if they have an app. They might even have their own app. I like to look at the other news, but let's just see. Oh yeah, they have their own app. So you can just download the app. I use Inside the News. TechCrunch, I'm installing it right now. I need to know you installed it. Can everybody install it right now? If you don't do it now, you'll probably forget. All right. now that you have that, I'm going to show you this last quick thing, which is important. TechCrunch. So, trend stacking. This is a term that I came up with, as far as I know. I'd never heard it before. So basically with trend stacking, if you don't know what to do, you just start listing off different trends. We just saw a trend. One of the trend was Uber not allowed in the UK or Quebec. By the way, you don't even have to stack trends there. That's an opportunity for somebody to come in and make a car service that legally complies with Montreal's laws and London's laws. So that's an opportunity right there. We don't even have to stack a trend, but a trend you could stack. What are the biggest trends we've seen of the last? We've got Bitcoin. We have StubHub. Fidget spinners. Self-tracking. People are tracking their steps. Okay, what else do we? Yeah, wearables, protein shakes. Veganism is big now. Veganism. How about this? Pro-Trump and anti-Trump. I know there's a guy who follows me who made $1 million during the election selling Trump hats. He caught a trend. I don't even think he liked Trump, but he liked $1 million. $1 million will sway a lot of people's politics. If I said you have to vote for my candidate for $1 million, a lot of people would say yes. Now don't do that because I think it's against the law to bribe, but he made it with Make America Great hats or some crap like that. And he literally made $1 million in like a year. So you can take this, and what you can do is start putting these on top of each other. So for example, veganism's big, so protein shakes for vegans. And that's what you see that already. Somebody caught that trend. It still exists. They basically, instead of using whey protein, which is animal-based, they started using pea protein, hemp protein. What's the other? Pea, hemp, and soy obviously can have protein. But just those two are big. Pea protein and hemp protein are huge things. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm drinking some hemp protein right now because it tastes horrible. Whey protein, yeah, I think there's something nasty in this. God, I've been dying this whole time. So maybe you could stack some of these together. A company that does vegan protein shakes, but you have to pay in Bitcoin. That's called an ICO. These companies are doing ICOs. There's going to be tons of ICOs around that. You could do a vegan fidget spinner. The more you spin it, the more money is raised for PETA or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. Self-tracking. Oh, StubHub is cool. So basically, you could do a StubHub for selling tickets to Trump rallies. This is a company, StubHub resells tickets, but you could create, there's a lot of pro and anti-Trump rallies. I guarantee you there's a market there. I'm not sure how to do it, but that's for you to figure out. I'm not in that business. What else? What's some more trends? How about live streaming is big? How about, social media is big. How about Amazon, being able to sell? So here's one. Being able to sell on Amazon. It's never been easier. It's really easy now. And you can store the stuff at Amazon's warehouse. So you don't have to get a warehouse. If you ship the stuff from China, you can have it shipped from China straight to an Amazon warehouse. So let's say you like veganism and you like protein shakes and you like Amazon. You stack these three together and you try to focus on having the best pea protein shake that people buy on Amazon. And I just did a podcast. By the way, my podcast is now on Spotify or iTunes. And I just released a podcast with a guy who is a drop shipping Amazon expert. And we talk a lot about how you can start selling on Amazon for under $500 of inventory. And he shows how to do it. So you could just mix and match. And if you go home, okay, so let's talk about homework here for a second. Here's your homework, 3 things. On 3 of the next 5 days, okay, I'll give you 3 things. You can do more, but don't do less. Number 1, I want you to bookmark this page right here we're on. Bookmark this. You come back to this anytime between today and next Tuesday, and I want you to write 3 trends you saw on TechCrunch. Okay? 3 trends you saw on TechCrunch. Number 2, I want you to list 10 trends and your stack. So just list 10 trends in a comment below, and then which of the 2 or 3 of them. It can either be a 2 or a 3 stack. I usually recommend don't go more than 3 because it starts to become a really weird business. If it's like Uber, a fidget spinner, protein shakes, StubHub, like I don't know how to, 4 is too much. But 2 or 3, and you don't want 1 because you can't stack one thing on top of itself. It's not innovative. So I want you to list out 10 trends that have caught your eye. You can use the ones that you saw on TechCrunch if you want, because you already listed 3 here. And I want you to come up with a potential business idea. Even if you're not going to start a business, I want you to get in the habit of being able to quickly come up with business ideas. By the way, the reason I never get worried about people stealing my business ideas is because I have a list. The other day I listed 16 businesses that I need to be starting in the next year. So if someone steals one, I got 15 more. Once you learn how to be creative in trend stack, you never run out of ideas. Okay, your third homework is I want you to write contradictory argument to a closely held belief you have. To a closely held belief. You pick which one. So if you love Bitcoin, I want you to argue against it. If you love Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump, I want you to argue against it. If you believe that Elon Musk's Tesla is the greatest company ever, I want you to argue against it. You might need to use Google to find some facts and some data. If you think being overly confident is very helpful, I want you to look at the research, and I want you to write. This should be about a paragraph, okay? So I'm giving you 3 things, not 5 this time, because I want you to do these 3 better. I could give you 5, 1 for every work day, but I want you to have the weekends off, but I want you to hit these 3 for real. Remember, people say, well, Tai, what if people don't do it very well? You ain't cheating me. You're going to cheat yourself. You get out what you put in, just like in practice. If you're a pro basketball player or a pro soccer player like Ronaldo or Messi, or a pro basketball player like Harden or LeBron James, if you're cheating in the practice, nobody's like, look, it's not elementary school where people are like, ha, 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 that's so cool. People are like, what an idiot. So LeBron James is going to be out of shape when the season starts, and then everybody's really going to laugh at him. So for all of you who are cutting corners, just remember, I'll tell you what you should remember. John Calipari, the basketball coach for Kentucky, he said whenever his practice is over, he leaves the lights on for his players. They can stay and continue to practice. And somebody said, one of his students, one of his players one time said, why do you do that? Shouldn't we go home and, get a break? And he said, well, son, one day, he said, well, somewhere out there in the world is another kid who, when practice is over, stays and keeps playing basketball and practicing hours and hours after the practice is over. And then he said to a student, he said, and one day you will meet that kid on the basketball court in a game and you will lose. So some of you, the second this is over, this talk, you're not putting in any work. And this is what I'm telling you. Someday out there, there's a huge business trend to be caught. The next Netflix, the next Uber. And lots of people are going to be trying to do it. And you're going to meet a competitor who has the same idea as you. And you will lose. Or you will win. And little things like this determine your success. Watch the Instagram post I did yesterday where one of the top military officers, he was a Navy SEAL admiral. He was an admiral and he was head of the Navy SEALs, I think. 4-star admiral. He said, if you want to change the world, make your bed. Because by doing little things, you learn to do big things. So this is a little thing, but it matters. Okay, a few more questions and then we're done. Oops. It logged you out for a second. Amy said, dang, I love the competitor fact. It's true. Justin Powell said, yes, learn to make your bed. Do I think a Shopify drop shipping store is oversaturated now? No. Cream always rises to the top, meaning the best of the drop shipping will always have opportunity. What will happen is the more competitors there are in the drop shipping space or the Amazon space or the Uber space, the more skill you'll need. At the beginning of a new trend, even idiots make money, but so your goal anyway in my programs is to build skill, so you'll be good. You'll be fine. Okay. Brian Garcia. Dan Spiker, I haven't been added to the tribe yet. Hopefully all of you, by the way, oh yeah, that's the other fourth thing. Thank you. You need to be participating in the tribe. So number 4, comment. And the tribe is kind of like my version of Facebook groups. Comment in the tribe this week. If you don't have access, send an email to support@tailopez.com. How do you start these trend stacking ideas without much money? I promise you, you need so little money to start most businesses. You're not going to start Tesla or something, but you can start a social media marketing agency with almost no money. Almost none. Start a consulting business. Ty, if you find a trendy job-seeking product, how do you go about Facebook advertising if you don't have a specific niche? You still can find related interests. Everything has a related interest. Jody installed the app. Dylan said, Ty, look at Bill Gates' latest pic on Instagram. It's like what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but it sounds good. He's a smart guy. Okay. Ty, I'm thinking about buying HIMX stock, which is part of the technology going to Oculus. Some are predicting it will wipe out the iPhone. Would you recommend buying the stock at $9.50 per share? Hey, try to find the best argument why you shouldn't invest $9.50 a share in that company. And if after making an open-minded, great argument against it, you still feel confident, then you're on the right track. No one can tell you. Things go up and down. So there's no guarantee in the stock market, my friend. Michael said just getting TechCrunch. Ali installed it. John said, I see your dogs in the background. Ty, what made you change some of your video marketing from a Lamborghini in the garage to standing behind a writing pad like your VSL? Just changing it up. You always have to never fall in love with any of your ideas. Always test new things. So I just tested new things, you know. Okay, Angelina Evans, delivery. Yes, delivery is a big trend. Catherine installed the TechCrunch app. Great suggestion. I also do a Google alert for trends. Cool. Jeffrey did that. Legeri said you're using a BlackBerry. Legeri, how do you still I didn't know that BlackBerry still exists. You may want to catch a trend and get an iPhone or an Android. Just because, like you said, there's no TechCrunch available on BlackBerry. Maybe you can turn it into somebody and somehow trade. Maybe you can find somebody who loves old-fashioned stuff and you could trade their iPhone for your BlackBerry. Maybe it's a collector's item. Or maybe did you get it for work or something? All right. Is it too late to create a social media marketing agency? No. I mean, the social media marketing game is so big. It's producing so much income for people. I'm really excited. Ty, are your Facebook groups going away? Yes, slowly but surely we're moving to these tribes that are right here on the website. Ty, what gets you up in the morning? Adventure, man. I pretty much live for adventure. Adventure and learning. Honestly, I know that sounds like cliche, but I do like to learn. If you guys could learn one thing from me, I hope it'll be just be curious. You know, I have a lot of flaws, but curiosity is not one of them. Okay, that's one of my greatest strengths. If I had to list my top 3 strengths, I'd probably say number 1 is just curious. I like to learn. I don't mind being wrong. If I find research that proves me wrong, I don't care. I don't, you know, I'm sensitive on some stuff, but not that. If I read a book that's like, ooh, Bitcoin is better than I thought, I'll be like, heck yeah, I'm glad I found this book. And I actually get real pleasure out of learning and reading and doing my podcast and interviewing. Yesterday, I didn't do a podcast, just privately. I talked to my mentor, one of my mentors, David Buss, for 1 hour. And then the day before, on Sunday, I was at the Amish. One of my first mentors, it was an Amish guy named Sam Chupp. He's 60 years old, over 60 years old. And I talked to him, you know. We actually took a buggy ride. I rode back in a buggy. And, you know, so I'm learning. The day before that, or 2 days before that, on Friday, I was with Joel Salatin, my very first mentor from when I was 19. And so even now, I get enjoyment out of learning from other people. So if you see yourself as this self-sufficient knowledge entity, you're just delusional. There's no person that knows it all. I need to read the TechCrunch app. There's no possible way I could know about all the trends just sitting in a room and meditating. So what gets me up in the morning is probably adventurous learning. One phrase, adventurous learning. That's what I'm all about, man. I want to go, I want to see stuff. I get bored. I got to see new things. I want to travel. I want to meet new people, and adventurous learning. Tai, do you recommend not wasting time on trends that don't apply to your industry? Always read trends that don't apply to your industry because you can bring them over. It's kind of like always read the news about what's going on in London because you can apply it if you live in Washington, D.C. or New York or whatever. Tai, what do you think about penny stock investments? A lot of them have good trend stacking ideas. The only problem with penny stocks, there's a few of them are good and a lot of them are mismanaged. It's a good idea, but the managers are idiots, bad entrepreneurs, or worst case, they're not telling you all the truth, you know? Tai, best lessons from Poor Charlie's Almanac, 25 cognitive biases. Tai, Jean-Olav Fagerton, any advice for the creation process of online video courses? Don't overthink it. It's much easier than you think to make online videos, whether it's for social media. They should be natural. They should be a little fun. They shouldn't be too formal. How to start a virtual reality arcade on meditation. First, start by disproving why you shouldn't. Proving why you should not. Disprove your idea. That'll give you a lot of insight. Tai, no questions. You are very informational. Tai, for the conference at LA, is it okay to arrive a bit late? Earliest flight arrives at 9:40. Yeah, because there's a pre-session. When does the main conference start? 10? 11. So there's different tickets you can buy. The main conference is from like 11 in the morning to like 8 p.m. Then there's tickets for 2 pre-sessions. So if you're late, you won't be able to see the pre-sessions. Tai, what if you don't have the capital, skills, or knowledge to capitalize on trends? Ralph Inglow, if you don't have the capital, go find it. You can raise capital. If you don't have skills or knowledge, that's within your own, you start building them. Go work for your competitor. Great fallback plan when you don't know what to do. Go work for another company in the niche you want to get into. Tai, I know you like the piano. I have a 2-tier electronic organ in my garage that I need to give away or sell. Oh man, an organ is different than a piano. I don't know how to play an organ. Maybe you could donate it for Puerto Rico or something like that. Raise a little bit of money. But thank you for the offer. That's nice of you. Tai, the best way to learn about finance and money? Just be a learning machine. You're reading, you're listening to podcasts, you're on calls like this. Over time, you will learn. Okay, how do you participate in the tribe? What's the best way for them to find the tribe? Is there a link to it?
On our Let's Chat, our support team can just send the link to it.
Okay.
Also on the top nav when they're logged in.
When you're logged in here, on one of the top nav, there's a link. What does it say?
Tribe.
Click when it says tribe. So when you're in a lesson, up on the top, it should say tribe. Tai, how can I just sell ideas? Selling ideas is possible. There's a book on licensing ideas. It's a little bit of a tough business because ideas are easy to be stolen if all you have is the idea. Tai, if I meet you in person, what entrepreneur or small businesses like me? Oh, what can an entrepreneur with a small business do to connect with you? Well, you're connecting right now. If you want to meet me in person, I won't be able to meet every person at this conference, but you'll be able to see me. I'm taking questions in the audience. I'll be able to meet some of you. This conference that I'm doing, October 6th, trust me, you want to be there. I'm charging almost no money. I mean, people are charging $2 grand, $1 grand, $500 for the same ticket. I'm not trying to make massive amount of money from my conference. I don't want to lose money because the hotel, these, cost like 50 to 100 grand for me to do one of these. But as long as I don't lose money, I'm not trying to get rich off this. I want this to help you. That's why I'm telling you to come. I'm telling you to come because it will be worth it. The networking alone, not even counting learning, the people that are speaking. What if you, What are your top dating questions? You mean when you meet somebody you want to date, have them take the dark triad test before you go on the date. That's the best advice you'll ever get. Have you had a good or bad experience with Uber? I think Uber is a great company. I hope they put all taxi companies out of business. Somebody wrote Facebook. All right, let's see here. What is your IQ, Tai? Tyler says that he knows his is high, just not sure how high. I'm going to tell you this thing about IQ. If you think you have a high IQ, it's actually not what you think. It just means you've never been around high IQ people. Trust me. It's the odds, most people, very few people have high IQs, okay? You'll know. Elon Musk has an extremely high IQ. Becoming super wealthy, you need, in general, high IQ, but you can become a millionaire without a high IQ. Billionaire is pretty much, you need a high IQ. I've never met, unless they inherited their money, but that's okay. You don't need $1 billion. The average self-made millionaire is not a super high IQ. They're just a little sharper than average. But if you have this feeling that you have a really high IQ, I promise you, you've never been around high IQ people. Because there's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which basically says super smart people doubt their own intelligence, and dumb people, because they're dumb, they can't imagine anybody smarter than them. So be very careful of thinking you really have a high IQ. If you want to test your IQ, you have to go to a psychologist. They do it a one-on-one test. But you can do a test to get in Mensa. I got in Mensa a long time ago. I think am I a lifelong member, Maya? I'm something like a lifelong member of Mensa, which is it used to, now they lowered it. I got in when it was harder to get in. They lowered the IQ now. Now you only have to have 135 IQ. You used to have in the 140s. So minimum. There's people in there with 160s. If you ever meet somebody with let me tell you, I can pretty much tell you if you have a super high IQ. My grandfather had my step-grandfather had a very high IQ. He spoke 14 languages, Russian, Hebrew. He could write in Arabic, Russian, Hebrew, English, Spanish, German. Basically, think of it like the human body. If you met LeBron James, he's 6'8", 6% body fat, and 275 pounds. Do you meet many people like that? No. If you meet one in your lifetime, you're doing good. That's the equivalent of a high IQ person. The odds in a world of 7.3 billion people of you ever meeting somebody with an immense IQ. So one of my business partners was in growing up, he did a competition on physics and he was number 2 in the world. So if you're number 2 in the world in something, like you're a grandmaster at chess, you probably have an IQ. Don't worry about your IQ. It's unimportant for this program. I mean, just use what you got, and that's all you can do, okay? But don't think, the second you think you have an IQ, I've never met somebody who has a high IQ who thinks they have a high IQ, for the most part. Not trying to insult you, I'm just telling you my life experience, okay? Miguel, best tip for university. If you go to university, go slower. Take 8 years to finish your degree. That way you can do 2 things at once. You could start a business at the same time. How do I memorize so many books and quotes? Practice makes perfect. Eric, why test against something that's working successfully? Well, shouldn't you wait until it starts slipping before you switch it up? If that's what Blockbuster did, they said, we're a $1 billion company. That's like the Titanic. They were floating along, everything was perfect, and then at the bottom of the ocean. I just saw a picture of the actual iceberg that sunk the Titanic. It's not very big. I mean, it's big, but not huge. So what happens is, if you think everything's going great, you're not seeing beneath the surface, where you're about to hit something underneath the surface, and boom, your business. Blockbuster, these companies go down fast. They're like $1 billion companies in 2000, whatever. What was Blockbuster? Look up, when did Blockbuster go bankrupt? 07, 08? I mean, 2 years before that as a 1 year before as a $1 billion company. These companies go from $1 billion valuations to zero. 2010. If you looked up the market cap of Blockbuster Video in 2009, I bet you it was $1 billion. So be careful of thinking, be careful of thinking everything's great. Joshua Ball, Tai, like you, I was raised by a single mom, so my question, how can you learn to be properly aggressive? Well, I did a talk, I don't have time to do it today, but you have to learn something called contrite tit for tat. It's a scientific term for the best way to act. And basically, here's the rule. Start out nice with everybody and then treat them like they treat you. So you start out nice with somebody, then if they're an a-hole to you, just give them back the same medicine level they have. So don't overreact, okay? Same level. And then what happens is, in general, people will stop messing with you. It doesn't always work. There's a more advanced game theory called contrite tit for tat, but that's complicated. Scientists have been studying this for about 60 years and they still don't know all the answers on it. Tai, I believe my mom bases her happiness on my grades and might be prone to depression. However, I want to start my own business and cannot maintain grades if I spend time other than school. Should I wait it out for another year and a half? Are you talking high school or university? For the most part, I'm not a quitter. So if you're in high school, finish I think everyone should finish high school. Even though the high school system sucks in most places. Now, university, I think about 50% of people should go to university and 50% shouldn't. So sometimes people think that I think nobody should go to college. I don't think that. But I think about half the people going to college are wasting time, they're getting in debt, they're lost, and sometimes people go too young. You know, my step-grandfather that I told you spoke all those languages, he got his PhD in his 40s. There's no rush with life. I disagree with the system. By the way, I'm going to probably doing a Bitcoin crypto currency ICO, launching a company that's going to disrupt education. There's no reason that kids come out of high school, they hardly have any common sense. They go to college and they have to learn everything in 4 years, and so they don't remember anything. Why? Why do you have to stop going to college at 22? Why is that normal? That's stupid. I think everybody from age 18 to age 70, 90, age 100 should take one course all the time. And maybe when you're younger, you got more free time, so you take a little bit more. But I disagree fundamentally with a system like we have now that packs all adult education into a university degree and then throws you out in the world, and basically you might take a few little vocational classes and a few corporate training, but the average person no longer goes and continually educates themselves. The average person reads less than one book a year, so it's not happening. I'd rather see a decentralized, less crowded approach. There's no reason you have to have your college degree by 22. Why not 23? What's the difference? What about 26? Oh, well, Tai, you can't get a job if you're in college. Bullshit. What do you mean you can't have a job when you're in college? This antiquated ideas that if sometimes people say that, I'm like, do you listen to what you're saying? So what you're saying is there's no adult learning, right? There's no 35-year-olds in college. Like I said, you have more free time when you're young, so you can do more school when you're young, and your mind, certain things you need to learn young. Languages you need to learn young, musical instruments, martial arts, all those things that take muscle and reflex. But a lot of the things we teach young people should be taught when you're in your 30s because you won't absorb it when you're young. Some of the stuff is too hard. For example, literature. Some of the literature they're making, like Siddhartha, I remember having to read that when I was like 12. All the kids hated, I went to schools in inner city, in Raleigh, North Carolina called Enloe. I went to Carnage, it was for middle school, and then I went to Enloe. And they got these kids who are living in housing projects, don't have food to eat, their parents are both in prison, then they put them in a classroom and they make them read Siddhartha. I don't want to read Siddhartha now, and I'm an adult. So all they do is reprogram kids' brains to, I hate books. So it's a big problem. Tai, you should put a buggy next to the Lamborghini. You got real horsepower with a buggy. How can you make money from learning? Easy, become a teacher. Easy. Easy. I have an IG flip phone. Oh, LG flip phone, but I do have a computer. But I'm hesitant to put extra money into shiny tech, so I've not upgraded to a smartphone. Am I too crazy? Yes. Josh, I think you should argue against your own idea. This here, for under $1,000, has more computing power than the first rocket that put man on the moon. If you told him you could buy a rocket ship computer for under $1,000, and you can buy a used phone, you don't need the iPhone 7 Plus. Get an iPhone 5, 6. I'm pretty sure they have, aren't there used phones you can buy for like $200? $100. Penny wise, don't be penny wise and dollar foolish, man. Your mentor said you were always curious for flashes for success. Yeah. Do you think that an energy company could be trendy at this time? Heck yeah, solar power company. Some guys who follow me, they showed up at my door one of these days, or my gate out there. Please don't do that, but they did, and they started a solar power company, and I think they're making $25 million in their first year. All right, I think that's about it. So you got the homework. Come back to this page. On day 1, 3 trends you saw on TechCrunch. Day 2, 10 general trends. They can be some from here or other places, and your 2 favorite to stack, 2 or 3. Number 3, write down contradictory argument to your belief. It could be try to disprove your business idea. Number 4, comment on the tribe. See you guys next Tuesday. And by the way, click the link or go right here. What is it again? TaiLopez.com. So my mentor conference, Mentor LA.
A couple people already bought tickets.
I see they're telling me some of you already bought tickets. It's super cheap. It's not the cost of food when you're eating here. It's going to basically be the same price as the ticket. We still got early bird tickets. Eventually, I'm going to switch it off early bird here, probably next week. So get the ticket not next week. Next week is when it is. So sometime this week, I'll probably switch it off. So get the ticket now before we run out of those pre-ticket. TaiLopez.com, Mentor LA. October 6th, it's a Friday, not this Friday, the next Friday. It's right by the beach, Santa Monica. It's at a beautiful hotel. It's such a nice hotel. Once you buy the ticket, I don't put the name of the hotel publicly. Once you buy the ticket, you'll get an email with everything telling you, here's the hotel, here's the best airports to fly in. You don't need to rent a car, get Uber. It's way better. We'll give you a range of hotels, so you don't have to stay in the expensive one. You can Airbnb. I recommend if you have the time, fly in Thursday night. It's all day Friday, fly home Saturday. That gives you time to network before, after, and during. If you're super busy, come in Friday morning, go home Saturday, the same day, late at night. So at least that makes anybody can come in. We're gonna have people flying in from many countries. Some of them are literally flying just for the day. It's gonna be good. I've got different people speaking. By the way, Maya, we need to confirm. I'm trying to get Tom from MySpace to speak.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So he's in China. I was gonna get some of my basketball, for those of you who like basketball, but they're all in training camp. Mark Cuban messaged. I don't think he'll be there, but we text with him. I'm texting him on some Bitcoin stuff, getting his opinion. Always surround yourself with smart people. Remember, when I started out, I couldn't text Mark Cuban. Okay, that comes later. You don't need it. Do what you can with what you got now. That's the best you can do. Whatever IQ you got now is the best you can do, but enhance it as best you can. Whatever body you have, people got body images, well, enhance what you got. Not with plastic surgery. That's not, when I say enhance, I'm saying do it the right way. Go in a gym for your brain. That's called books, reading, learning, listening. Go in the gym for your body. I've been traveling, so gained a little bit of weight. All that Amish food, boy. The Amish know how to eat. We went to, I took six people from my company with me down to the Amish. One of them was my lawyer, Armin, and we got there on a Sunday. So the Amish are very Christian, so they do not work at all on Sunday, and they have church. And that night, they have church in the morning, and then at night they have what's called a singing. It's like singing. First they have a dinner. One family brings all this food. So they had something called haystacks, which are like potatoes and chili and meat, and it's like this huge meal. So we were all like full, and then they sing for 1 hour. And Armin told me at the end, he goes, "Todd, I've never been in a church service before." Did you know that, Maya? No. I was like, holy crap, this guy literally, his first church service was an Amish one. It's very rare. Usually the Amish don't let people in from the outside, but I lived there for many years, and I've known them for almost my whole life, and I speak their language a little bit. So it was a cool opportunity. But people ask me, why do I go to the Amish? Adventure, man. Adventure and learning. And you learn from all sources. High-tech people like Elon Musk, top entrepreneurs, but you also learn from people living simple, quiet lives. There's lessons for both. Don't be multidimensional. Never be one-sided. Ty, I got a 0 for psychopathy on the dark triad. You said these traits are functional and have some benefits. How harmful is to have a 0? Not harmful at all. What it means by functional is they're functional for a society. Not everybody needs them. So you need a few psychopaths. Those are the people that become Navy SEALs, paratroopers, usually psychopathic. They say 80% of Navy SEALs are psychopaths, but they're healthy psychopaths, meaning they're killing the right people. There's a big difference between killing the wrong people and the right people. So who's the wrong people and right people? I'm not going to say who that is. That's up for political experts to answer. But I do know you want the right psychopaths on your side sometime. Jimmy said, "I can't believe this training is under $1,000. Yeah, I know. Anybody who complains about the price on this, I'm like, I think you're getting your money worth. We're doing week after week, hours. If any of you try to hire me one-on-one, it'd be $10,000 an hour, and I would say no, because I don't know if I've ever said yes to anybody who offered me that. No. I'd do it for $100,000 for an hour, and I've done that before. I've been paid for almost none of my time. I've been paid over $100,000 to do, but I don't like to. That's just for bigger companies. So this has allowed me to reach a small group of people without any of you having to pay a lot of money. So I'm glad you see the value. I'm sure some people won't. When you guys start a business, there'll always be one person that wants a refund. You could fly them in. Let me tell you this. This is how the world goes. If you have a friend or a group of friends and they're all single guys, and they say to you, "Will you throw a party, invite all these single women?" Okay? So you go out and you find the best women out there, the smartest, the most beautiful, everything's great about them. Because I can tell you this, I'm changing this story a little bit, but this happened to me once. So you bring these guys to this party, and let's say they paid for it. You tell the guys, "All right, I'll do a party in my house, but you got to pay $100 each to cover the alcohol, the food, the cleanup, and all that." So people come to this party. If you have 10 of your friends and you have the most beautiful, intelligent, attractive, smart, happy women, one guy will complain, and he'll say this. I actually had this once. He said, a guy goes, "You put too much temptation in front of me. I only want one wife, and or only want one girlfriend, and you made it too hard." And he freaking complained. It wasn't the exact same setting, but that's a similar setting. It just shows you, no matter what you do, you can't please everybody. If I got up here and we didn't have the comments for the first 30, 40 minutes, and I talked, somebody would send us an email. "Yo, why does Ty talk the whole time? We want to see behind the scenes." I've had this. "Why are you talking? I want to see how your employees are. I want to know what people are like." don't try to please all the people. You can't do it. It makes your life horrible. You feel bad for no reason. Just make sure this, for all of you entrepreneurs, people starting businesses, whatever you charge, make sure it's worth 10 times more than you charge. That's enough. It doesn't have to be worth more, 100 times more. So each of you paid under $1,000 to get, 20 hours, and I would normally charge 100 to 200,000 per hour. So really, you guys are getting whatever, but that would be in a one-on-one. So in a group setting, I'd probably charge, if it was just at my house and there was 15 or 20 of you, I'd probably charge about, between probably $250,000 to do this. So by me doing it online, there are some inconveniences. You're not here with me, but it's live. Sometimes I'm a little late because I'm a businessman. Remember, do you want to be mentored by somebody who's a businessman and sometimes busy? Or do you want to be mentored by somebody who's always available for you? Like, that's the thing. People are like, I've had people be like, Tai, I need a mentor who's always there for me. I can ask him questions at any time. And I'm like, no, you don't, because anybody who says yes to that, you don't want. I have some mentors. I have one mentor. He's a real estate guy. When's the last time we saw Richard, Maya?
2 years?
Every 2 years he stops in my house. But he's a cool guy. When he comes, he'll spend the whole afternoon or the whole evening just talking to me. And he gives me so much information in one evening that it holds me over for 1 year. And I'm happy because the rest of the year, he's going out doing stuff. He's made over $2 billion in real estate. So I'm happy. I want him making the money so that he can come back and in one afternoon teach me all that stuff. I don't want, if you get a real estate guy who's like, hey, give me $1,000 and for the next 10 days, I'll just spend all my time with you. I'm like, you're either 95 years old, so you retired, one. Number two, you had a car accident, so you're like in bed recovering, so you can't work. Or three, you're not actually that successful because why do you have that much time? So be careful from learning from people who have all the time in the world. Sometimes people are like, well, Tai, you should give away all this for free. I'm like, why? I'd be an idiot. Why would you give away everything for free? That means you value yourself at zero. I just passed on YouTube 1 billion minutes of free videos given away. I feel like that's a lot. I'm like, isn't that qualify me for, I've done my life quota of free information. So for each of you, give free samples, but don't apologize to the people who are annoying as to why you charge what you charge. When I go to the Lamborghini dealership, I don't go, let me tell you about buying a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. They don't negotiate, almost at all. Like, put it this way, a Ferrari, the first Ferrari I bought, I still have it. It's a 458 Spider. What did I pay for that, Maya? Was it 200,000 or 300,000?
I think it's 3.
Yeah, I think it was 320,000 or 3. Okay, it was like 320, and I'm like, can I get a deal? And it was like, we'll give it to you for 318. Literally, I think they took $1,000 or $2,000 off, and I was like, well, what if I don't want it? They're like, don't worry, there's a line of people. I'm giving you this car. I took it out of the line to be nice to you, dude. They're like, if you don't want the car, sometimes they sell for more than that. Like a LaFerrari, the market price is like 1 million. Right now they're 3 to 4 million because people bid on them.
Remember at the Bob Shapiro event, someone bought a Ferrari?
Yeah, someone bought a Ferrari at this auction I was at. But all these cars, man, Rolls Royce, how much do we negotiate on a Rolls Royce? The Rolls Royce, $7,000. And it was 425,000. I have two. I think they were both around the same price. Actually, I think the Dawn was like 450, but whatever, they give you 10 grand off. So sometimes the ability to negotiate, all it tells you is you have a crappy product, because you can negotiate off a used car. You go on a used car lot, they're like 30 grand. You're like, I'll give you 15. They're like, take it. But that means that car I'm gonna end with this funny story. My friend, his name is Jeremy Biggie. Zach and I know him, and he was older than me, but in high school, he worked for 1 year at McDonald's. Okay, literally, he worked at McDonald's. It was a horrible McDonald's. It was in Wendell, North Carolina, a little country town. And he goes, after 1 year, he saved enough money. He went to a car auction because Zach's dad was a pastor, and these pastors they used to go to car auctions and they would flip cars. They were licensed to go to these auctions. So Jeremy was like 17. He goes, can I please go with you? I've saved up like whatever, 8 grand from 1 year working at McDonald's. So they go, and he bought a car. And I'll never forget, the next day, if you want to see a grown guy cry, he drove it to school, and the engine exploded. It seized up, and an auction is no refunds. And literally, one of our friends that knew about cars looked at that car. He said, you wasted every penny. I mean, you could put a new engine in, but it probably cost another 6 grand or something. So the moral of the story is, when things seem like a bargain, sometimes you're just getting what you pay for. So if anything, I should raise the prices on this stuff, but I'll get to that one of these days. Just be happy. You guys are one of the first people in here, so you guys got in early, so you caught a trend. Good work on the trends. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Good luck. Don't give up this week. Life's always has ups and downs. Don't freak out. Just stay cool under pressure, and you'll be good till next Tuesday, okay? See ya. Me too. I am not above you guys. You ain't above me, and I'm not above you. So we're all trying to make it through planet Earth, which is trickier than you think, unfortunately. But maybe one day we'll find heaven or utopia or whatever. Until then, good luck out there.